All right, so at the top of the hour, Grim on social media says that this guy is running a preview for the Berserker class in the upcoming expansion. I don't know if any of the Create Entertainment guys are going to be on, but whatever. Seems a little silly it's not on the Create Entertainment channel, but whatever. Anyone wants to jump in, shoot the shit? Not like I'm stopping you. I'm no longer asking. It's like I'm no longer asking for people to call in. Uh, maybe reverse psychology will work. I'd be able to squeeze in one more map on Path of Exile in this Grim Dawn stream. Sell on items. Let's do head count. YouTube, 0. Twitch, 1. Odyssey, 0. Kick. Hey, Kick, Duck. And a little fucky wucky. I'm gonna pretend that's 0. Yeah, if I'm gonna be watching a stream, I usually bump out the Path of Exile and Doom Scroll for a couple minutes. Because this guy at the top of the hour, which is in 25 minutes, will be doing a live stream. Grim Dawn has any other news. Oh, what spam message do I have today? Ah, there we go. I am a verified streamer and I love to make friends. Also, a KCIP. Come, let's make streaming our priority. It's like, fuck off. My god, the kick. I don't know what it is with kick. It's just like nonstop. It's like hustle, 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 hustle. It's like, it's like, fuck off. It's like, I am immune to your grifting ways. Flork has a Christmas sweater on sale. That's cute. That's fucking cute. Flork Christmas. Uh, yeah, it looks like that Biden to send nukes to Ukraine report's making the rounds. It made it to the Ron Paul Institute. I heard rumblings about this yesterday. Dr. Disrespect has signed with Rumble as co-owner. Okay, so co-owner. I thought you just went on as like a contract guy. But no. Dr. Disrespect as co-owner. Huh. Okay. That's a little different than what I was expecting. Hezbollah fired 250 projectiles into Israel over the weekend. And even though there are rumblings of the ceasefire deal right now, there's been many a ceasefire. None of them have lasted. Ooh, this is a very spicy take from Women's Space Ireland. And what used to be called indecent exposure is now called trans rights. The bourgeoisie have left has fights tooth and nail for the right of men in dresses to do what we used to condemn men and dirty Macs for doing: show their knobs to women who don't want to see them. Fucking savage. Axios CEO totally triggered by things Elon Musk said about legacy media being dead. Now X is where news is important now. This is true. This is pretty much all where I get my news. I got like my RSS feed for a few things, but otherwise, I just this here curated news feed I have is pretty much where I get pretty much all my news these days. So he's not wrong. eh. Germans were promised a green economic miracle. Now Germans steal giant plans to cut its workforce from 27,000 to 16,000. Oh, how I like this fall. And curious to see what not to be has take. If we really hit a point where offering nukes to Ukraine, the support seems to suggest so. As way out, Biden is potentially offering nukes to Trump as Trump vows to end conflict upon taking office. It looks like New York Times initially broke this. Yeah, it makes sense. So, U.S. and European officials are discussing deterrence as a possible security guarantee for Ukraine, such as stockpiling conventional arsenal sufficient to strike a punishing blow if Russia violates the ceasefire. Several officials even suggested that Mr. Biden could return nuclear weapons to Ukraine that were taken from it after the fall of the Soviet Union. That would be an instant no-arms deterrent, but such a step would be complicated and have serious implications. No. Really? Whatever makes you think that would be a bad idea? The administration is playing it off like Putin wants to significantly escalate the war until Trump returns to the Oval Office. So, in order to save democracy, or whatever slogan they're using these days, they seriously considered handling nukes over to Ukraine. Like, bro, we're trying to kick off World War III or what? Yes. Clearly, yes. This here tickled me earlier. Trump to remove all transgender personnel from military in day one. Yes. Get rid of the mentally deranged. President Biden pardons Peach and Blossom, two turkeys from Minnesota, in his final White House turkey pardon based on the commitment to being productive members of society. Hey. That cargo plane crashing in Lithuania. Yeah, kind of suspicious concerning Kaliningrad has been broadcasting anti GPS jammers. It's been sending out anti GPS jammers as of late. Funny how that works. I just jumped back over to Brave from Firefox this morning. Still enabling all my security things. It would have been easier because no script and script safe are two different script blockers. Unfortunately, they don't talk with each other. Denver, Colorado Mayor Mike Johnson reportedly took a rental car at the Syracuse airport in July because there was no employees present when he arrived. We took one we thought was for us. Then Mike Johnson just admitted to stealing a car. Oh shit. Let's go back to where I was. Still got 15 minutes until the Berserker real stream. Oh yeah, I saw this earlier. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, city council member reportedly invited a priestess of the goddess to the city council meeting and read a satanic-like prayer. Council member Christy Patrick, according to the official Tulsa council page, calls herself a healer of the wounded spirits and can be seen raising her hands during the satanic-like prayer. Yeah, leave the Democrats to praise Satan. That's what they do. CNN forced to admit that Americans are in love with this Trump transition. The only transition that anyone likes. Yeah, I saw this earlier. Game.com suffered a severe stroke. People in Lebanon celebrating ahead of a likely ceasefire. Posted that in Discord earlier. As where I read up there earlier. The sad. Sad. Let's go down through memory lane. And all feel old and sad together. Of a bygone time. Dozens of stores that don't exist anymore. Courtesy from the Business Insider. Foxtrot Market. Blockbuster. Tom McCann. Ooh, actually write-ups. Blockbuster got started in 1985. Hey, Blockbuster as old as I am. Acquired a Sound Warehouse and Music Plus chains to create Blockbuster Music in 1992. The music division was sold to Warehouse Entertainment in 1998 before closing for good. Then there remains one single Blockbuster rental store in Bend, Oregon. Tom McCann. Tom McCann was a chain of shoe stores that peaked in the 1960s and closed up shop in 1996. The brand shoes continue to be available at Sears and Kmart. Remember Sears and Kmart? Those should be on this list. Kenny Shoes, first opened in 1894. Kenny Shoes had 467 stores at its peak, all of which shuttered in 1998. Warner Brothers Studio Store. Warner Brothers Studio Store competed with Disney Store up until the company closed all of its locations in 2001. Zany Brainy. Zany Brainy filed for bankruptcy in 2001 and closed all locations in 2003. The educational toy retailer's founder, David Schlesinger co-founded discount company Five Below. Ames? I never had those stores. Debt and poor sales forced Ames department store into bankruptcy twice, and in 2002, the remaining Ames store closed. Imaginarium was an educational toy store in the 1980s. Stores started closing in the 1990s, and by 2003, parent company Toys R Us had closed them all. Tisk. Hex department store. Purchased by Macy's in 2005, and all locations were turned either into Macy's stores or closed. Marshall Fields. Federated Department Stores bought Marshall Fields in 2005 and converted the stores to the company's more recognizable flagship brand of Macy's. Gadzooks was a teen clothing store that was around from 1983 to 2005. It filed for bankruptcy in its final year and was purchased by Forever 21, which then closed all stores. Kaufman's. In 2006, Macy's retired the Kaufman's name and the brand disappeared. Tower Records couldn't keep up with the rise of digital music, and all stores in the US were closed in 2006. Media Play. was a big box store selling books, movies, software, toys, and video games. It closed for good in 2006. Discovery Channel. 103 standalone stores closed in 2007. KB Toys announced it would be going out of business in 2008, and by early 2009, all locations were closed. Sharper Image declared bankruptcy in 2008, but the company still sells merchandise through its website, catalog, and third-party retail partners. Livets Furniture declared bankruptcy twice, first in 1997, then 2005. It closed all of its stores in 2008. Linens and Things had over 500 stores in 2006, but by the end of 2008, they were all closed. The company still does business online. Sad. Mervyn's once had almost 200 locations in Western United States. In 2008, the company declared bankruptcy and closed all the stores. Limited 2 success began dwindling in the early 2000s, and all stores were eventually rebranded as Justice by 2008. Hello, Mega. Tweeter filed for bankruptcy in 2008, and all stores were closed by the end of the year. No, don't skip this. Circuit City filed for bankruptcy in 2008, shuttered all stores following spring. Circuit City. You will be missed. Steve and Barry's filed for bankruptcy in 2008 and closed all the stores in 2009. Whatever. Phil's Basement. Parent company went bankrupt in 2009, and by 2011, all stores were closed. B. Dalton Books was acquired by Barnes & Noble in 1987, which officially closed the bookstore in January 2010, except for a single location in Oviedo, Florida. I'm doing good. Walden Books merged with Borders in 1994, and all Walden Books stores closed when Borders Group liquidated in 2011. Borders Books and Music. Stores closed shortly after the company was forced into liquidation in 2011. CompUSA. CompUSA. Started in 1984, but by 2007, Best Buy and other superstores had taken over, and the last CompUSA closed in 2012. Man, seems like yesterday. Sam Goody. Man, I remember Sam Goody. Music stores suffered from the rise of digital media, and most Sam Goody stores were either ultimately shuttered or converted into other brands like FYE by 2012. 2 locations in Maine, one in Claresville, Ohio, and one in Medford, Oregon. A&P filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2010 and again 2015, closing the store that year. Sports Authority. Competition drove Sports Authority into bankruptcy in 2016 when it closed all of its stores and sold its website to Dick's Sporting Goods. And we all know how Dick's is doing these days. Sport Chalet, which was first opened in 1959 and abruptly closed all the stores in 2016. Wet Seal, a retained clothing store, fell for bankruptcy in 2015 and closed for good in 2017.
Good morning, day, night, evening, afternoon, guys. Welcome in to the official Grim Dawn Thanks of Karn Berserker reveals.
There we go. Stream started.
Anti is gonna.
Mega, I hate to break it to you, but I don't take kindly to bullshit. Notice the no soliciting everywhere. If you're gonna solicit, kindly fuck off before I ban you.
You guys are the Berserker class, the new class for Thanks of Karn. And yeah, today we have Zenta as well, one of the developers for the Fangs of Astracard expansion.
Oh, he does
joining
have
us.
the developer.
Welcome,
Neat.
Zentai. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to showcase this class together with you.
Well, sure. I mean, it's you've been quite the positive contribution to this community for a long time, and an active streamer. So we felt like it might be a good opportunity for you to show the game to your fans, and for me to be able to talk while you're actually showing the gameplay. So, hey guys, as Rector just mentioned, I am Zentai from the Create Entertainment team. I am the production director here. So I am definitely your best source for all the hottest gossip and answering all your questions. So I actually already have some that I've been given ahead of time, but I'll be trying to keep up with the chat here as well and see if I can answer some of the things you've been wondering about.
Exactly. So yeah, you guys can answer, or like you guys can ask Zenta any questions you would like to in chat. Also, I have a couple of questions already prepared for Zenta, which he's also going to answer whenever you guys don't have any questions in chat. And in the meantime, I'm going to log into the game here and play the Berserker class a bit.
Yeah, Zenta is in fact real and not a crazy robot person. The crazy part might be debatable. Do we have a release date coming soon? So I don't have anything more concrete to give you yet than 2025. We are definitely hard at work here on getting this expansion to you as soon as we can, but we are unfortunately victims of our own habits of doing way more than we always set out to. Like a prime example I can give you of that is the Ascension system that we revealed I guess a couple months ago now, that was way smaller in scope when we initially planned it out, and then we just had some ideas to kind of spice it up. Like a lot of the loot customization stuff that we talked about, like that wasn't originally kind of in the picture, but then as we were developing this, it's like, you know what, it might be kind of fun, like to people have more agency over this difficulty mode. Partially because if we just made it one static difficulty, like people that are more casual might just straight up struggle to even try it out. Whereas people that are already clearing, Shattered Realm 75, that might not even be hard enough for them. So having a dynamic difficulty was a good opportunity to give a bigger range of challenges for people to enjoy, but then also like, hey, like if we're going to customizing all this stuff, like what if we customize some other things too? And that's how it all came about. And then 4 months of programmer development time later, that was not originally planned. Here we are with this awesome new system.
By the way, let me know if the audio levels are okay like this, chat. If Zenta is too loud or too quiet, let me know.
Oh my god, notice me, Zenta. I noticed you, Magifer. You're right there.
Audio's fine. Okay, perfect. Okay, so why don't we start out with, well, the Berserker Mastery tree a little bit. And as you can see, I'm a level 31 Berserker right here, and I have a couple of skills picked, one of which being at the top left, the Implements of War. This one is an ability that allows you to, as the text might implement, dual-wield weapons. Current Berserkers have honed the art of two-weapon combat to deadly perfection. The weapons are not just tools, but an extension of the relentless onslaught. This is a dual weapon bonus, also enables the ability to dual wield weapons. And then it also gives you some bleeding damage over 3 seconds, percent bleeding damage, and a chance to not consume so-called onslaught stacks, which are also a new mechanic basically. So as you can see here, I can use dual melee weapons, for example, but also I can use dual range weapons as a Berserker just with this one passive. And yeah, the onslaught stacks are also going to be mentioned on the skill called Onslaught, which generates onslaught stacks when you attack. I do not currently have any points on this. Maybe like when I level up the next time I can show you how this is going to work exactly. But basically you attack with this skill. It's like a default attack, a default attack replacer, and then it generates onslaught stacks, which you can then expand or basically spend to boost another skill of your choice, another offensive cooldown based attack, and that's gonna basically modify the damage of that ability by, depending on your stacks, by 15, 30, 45 and so on percent. So basically by 15% per stack. Now maybe you have some more insight about for us about the onslaught stacks in general and how they're gonna modify the game, Zentai?
Sure. So as Reclaimer has mentioned, this is a basic attack replacement, so it will work with weapon pool skills. In terms of where we're going with that mechanic, it's kind of like a make your own combo system. Like you're gonna charge up onslaught stacks with that skill, and then when you do an activated cooldown ability, those onslaught stacks will get spent. You get a big boost in damage, and you get to feel good about yourself. However, the one thing that we're going to be doing with this onslaught system is actually putting it on some item procs, maybe some item granted skills. We're thinking of actually putting it as modifiers for existing abilities, like for example, something we're playing around with is putting it on Drain Essence for the Necromancer. So you'd be able to kind of create that similar combo system across different classes. You're not just, exclusive to the Berserker. Give Titan Quest 2 a hand. Are you just saying I should go work on it, or that I should go check it out? Because I'll definitely be checking it out.
No,
you've never seen Zent. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up with the chat a little bit.
Go ahead.
Zenta, you've never seen Zenta and Skorvegner in the same room at the same time. That's a very valid point. What else we got here? Zentime is a little loud. Did you turn me down already? Or was it fine?
I think I turned you down a little bit.
Why is my wife not allowed on stream? I mean, she is, but I'm not sure she wants to be. Yeah, Bleed Stacky for dual wield. Will there be a Steam sale? I think there is a pretty big Steam sale coming up right around Thanksgiving here, so I imagine Grim Dawn will have a sale during that. Boosted skill of your choice. Yep, that's exactly how Onslaught will work. Yep. Giga Ring of Steel, exactly. Channeling builds rise up. Yep.
Alright, I already showed the transformation here, the werewolf ones in combat. So werewolf is actually going to be a level 1 skill, so perfect for the theme of the Berserker. You can shapeshift right away at level 2 and become a werewolf. Now the werewolf is like a melee bruiser kind of theme, I would say, and it gives you, when you transform into it, 2 attacks. It gives you the Feral Claws, which is kind of like a default attack, but it has some AoE, so kind of plays like Blade Arc, I would say. And it uses your main hand and your offense. If you're dual wielding, you're getting bonuses from both weapons. If you're using, if you're using dual guns, I think you also get bonuses from both guns, actually. And if you're using a two-hander, then you get like only the main hand damage. On top of that, you get some...
The weapons are hidden, but you do actually get the benefits of your weapons in that form.
Yep, exactly. So this is the like Feral Claws attack, and then you also gain the Rip and Tear attack. This one right here, which is kind of like a charge skill that, as you can see here, also deals pierce damage, bleeding damage, and I believe only main hand damage. So this one probably is more impactful when you're using a two-hander compared to like dual wielding. And yeah, this already like gives you maybe like 2 ideas how you would like to play a werewolf, right? You could like go for maybe boosting the Feral Claws more and go like high attack speed dual wield, or you want to go maybe like Rip and Tear and focus more on like maybe scaling
Everyone's
damage
making the Intel's done joke
reduction for the skill. It's like just like 2 of the many things or like many ways I can really like imagine playing a Berserker. And then attached to the werewolf, right, you have Voracity, which gives your Feral Claws more leech and crit damage, and also percent pierce damage. And also attached to that, you have Recklessness, which, as long as you are in the werewolf, I believe gives you like a global percent pierce and bleeding damage buff. And also reduces enemy defensive ability whenever you attack. Like this is like flat reduced target's defensive ability, so basically like weapon damage based. So whenever you use a skill that has percent weapon damage, you can apply DA shred on enemies as well.
Yep, and that'll apply to any ability you're using when you're a werewolf form. So like if you want to mix and match something from like Nightblade, add Ring of Steel to your werewolf, like whenever you trigger Ring of Steel, it will apply that defensive ability reduction.
Yep, and your Ring of Steel will also deal like 100% more bleeding damage, like not multiplicative, but like additive to the damage it would usually deal. Also, the last line here is very interesting. There's at 6 out of 12 points, a 14% chance on enemy death to refresh duration by 0.5 seconds. And then it says also like max 3 seconds in brackets. So when you are in a werewolf form and you kill an enemy, you have a 14% chance to extend the duration of your werewolf form by up to 3 seconds. And this is also really cool. Fits the theme very well. And as you can see, the base duration of the werewolf is 8 seconds. You can get up to 11 seconds like this with my current setup. there's going to be like many different ways to extend this, I'm pretty sure of this, and it has a 5-second recharge, which starts whenever you transform out of the werewolf. So whenever the transformation ends, you're gonna have to wait 5 seconds or less, depending on like how much cooldown reduction you have, and then you can transform into a werewolf again.
Can I be a poison AoE werewolf? Yes, you can. There's actually a modifier on a necklace that you'll be able to find. I forget which mob it was from off the top of my head, but there are ways to transform yourself into a poison werewolf if you'd like, and many other damage types as well.
Also, like Guimut in chat is saying, there is also, or like there are gonna be items, at least one set already has been confirmed, that was showcased, I think, in the last Grim Adventure, the Fenris set, that gives you permanent duration to werewolf right away.
Yep.
So this is going to be a possibility to be in a transformative state permanently, just not something you get for free right away. It's something you have to like work towards.
Yep. So there's like Frost Protoss said, there's going to be multiple ways that you can achieve permanent werewolf if you'd like. There's actually even items that you can take that will help you kind of cycle between the two werewolves if that's the kind of build you want to go for. Are we in playtest already for DLC? So we are going to start closed internal playtesting in December. Unfortunately, that is invite only. So if you haven't already applied to be a playtester on the forum, this is your last week to try. We are looking for people of all skill levels. It's not like we're only looking for the pros that are making builds on the forum. We are also interested in casual perspectives. However, what we're most looking for among our community is active, positive members that are contributing and making all of Crate, forums a better place for everybody, regardless of how you might be doing that, whether it's posting builds, answering questions, just being an all-around helpful person.
Yeah, you might want to link the latest.
Yeah, I suppose we could share that link in the chat here in a sec.
And then hopefully people will also read the instructions this time and apply properly.
Yes, if you did not follow the instructions listed in there, you will not make it into the playtester group, because frankly, reading comprehension is one of the main things we will need from you.
If only reading comprehension could apply to my chat.
So just like with any transmuters you've seen in the game, like when you apply it and it has damage conversions, that applies to the whole skill. And in the case of Werewolf and Wereraven, which are actually like sort of buffs in the back end, like that conversion will be active while you're transformed. So any pierce damage turned into chaos will be applied to all pierce damage you're doing while a werewolf. So Ring of Steel would automatically become a chaos skill while you're a chaos werewolf, for example. So it's very versatile. Is the werewolf vegan? Well, that's up to you. That's really a personal choice. Are there going to be engine improvements? So it kind of depends on what you're looking for when it comes to saying engine improvement. Like, are you expecting sort of like a performance increase or something along those lines? Because that's kind of been squeezed to death. If you're talking about like new tech, like that's happening all the time. Like the Ascension system I mentioned earlier is just one example of completely new tech. The werewolf mechanic is something this engine could not do until like a year ago. It's like a lot of new tech has gone into this game over the years. It's kind of impressive, honestly, like what the engineers have been able to squeeze out of this pretty old engine at this point.
Also getting some questions on YouTube here, actually.
Oh no, there's a YouTube chat too.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even keeping up with that one. Sorry.
One second. Maybe I can give you the link for that too, so you know what people are writing there as well.
Is the conversion before or after skill conversions? So if you have a direct modifier on a skill like Ring of Steel that say turns the pierce damage into cold, that will take precedence because the werewolf conversion is buff level. So like for example, if you have conversion on like an aura on one of the masteries, that does apply to all skills, but it is superseded by skill modifiers. Because I got a link to the chat on YouTube, so I'll pop in there too. Oh no, I can hear myself. That's the worst. Mute.
Like, for example, somebody asked, so how does a new attack that you get from the werewolf work? Can you bind it separately?
So you can only use those skills while you're werewolf form. So those are abilities granted to you when you transform, and you can put them anywhere on the bar you want, but they're only active when you're transformed. Can I make a werewolf that runs around casting Ether Ray? You actually could. I'm not sure it would make a great build, but you could definitely try. Granted, he does not shoot the laser out of his eyes. I'll apologize for that in advance.
You don't have an animation for that yet? What?
And we decided not to make it shoot out of the eyes for some reason.
Okay, you can check out the Chaos Werewolf here as well, how it looks like. With the Blight of Corruption, Blight of Cthulhu rather, transmuter here, you can convert all pierce damage to Chaos damage here in the Werewolf, which also switches the model slightly, as you can see here.
Were-Raven is ranged only, so the Were-Raven's skills, which we'll check out later in the stream, are ranged skills, yeah. Again, though, since the Grim Dawn is all about combining masteries, that you can combine Were-Raven with another mastery and try something completely different. You can put some melee skills on there. You could use Blade Arc with Were-Raven if you wanted to.
Yeah, you can. I think you can totally make a melee Were-Raven as well if you really wanted to. Like, I don't think it's even that bad.
I don't see why not. What can we expect of Converge in Fangs of Astrakarn? Can we expect a Cold Ether Ray? I think there's already a Cold Ether Ray somewhere. Or if not, then you can kind of achieve it through conversions. But I thought there was a cold one. Was it a conduit?
Is that leap a glyph or a berserker skill? That leap is indeed a leap. It is a berserker skill called leap, which has...
We're not beating around the bush for that one. It's a leap.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about this leap, though, I only have 1 point right now into it, but if you put many points into it, it actually gains like significant size, so it's a lot bigger in AoE than like the leaps that we know from the runes so far. And yeah, also scales with main hand damage only, so yeah, you might want to do like a two-handed big bonk leap build with this. And by default, physical pierce damage. And then also has a fault line on top, which adds more pierce damage and bleeding damage on top, and also more crit damage. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be like conversions for the pierce and physical damage at least on some items somewhere as well. And also, of course, if you are, I think, a Chaos Werewolf, all the pierce damage also already gets converted to Chaos, right?
That's exactly right. So
it just dawned on me, this stream is very better than the fucking Path Exile stream because it's not dying.
Will the expansion be released on Xbox? Yes. So that's the plan, is to release them uniformly across all platforms. How much does the class depend on transformations to be viable? So let's open up the skill tree here for a second when you can, Protoss.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get a pretty good look at like the distribution in terms of like how many skills are transformations and how many skills are for other gameplay types. So really, if you look at it, it's pretty, I would say maybe a quarter to a third is transformations, but you can do so much else with the Berserker besides that. You can be an auto attacker build, you can focus on leap, there's Winds of Astrakarn, which is a channeled AoE skill all around you. You can combine onslaught with different cooldown skills from other masteries. So there's all sorts of ways you can build this class that if you don't want to do transformations at all, you can completely skip them. It's perfectly viable.
Yeah, we're gonna show off all the skills during the stream today. Just be patient, right? We're gonna get through all of them eventually.
If you're interested in beta testing stuff and have it installed, can you play multiplayer with people that does not have it? So what you'd have to do for that, if you do get in, is it requires an opt-in, kind of like the public playtest we have. You will opt into the playtest. Any characters you load in the playtest are specific to that build. So as with previous expansions, when you load a character into an expansion, that becomes an expansion character. And then if you ever uninstall that expansion, that character will no longer load because it's a Fangs of Astrakarn save, essentially. So if you were in the playtest and you wanted to play with friends that don't have the playtest, all you'd have to do is opt back out of the playtest and make sure that you just have a separate character roster that you're going to be playing like with your friends versus in the playtest group. You love playing on an Xbox. Well, I'm glad we got that to you then, because Xbox was a lot of work. Hopefully we'll be able to do some of the more recent Xbox upgrades that we talked about. We'll see how that pans out. Moat Mastery is most logical to combine with a Were-Raven focus build. Well, I mean, ideally you'd combine any mastery with the Were-Raven, but I mean, anything that's cold based is obviously going to be a natural fit. You say this is your favorite game. This game got you through hospice care. Yeesh. Well, I'm glad we were there for you, and I'm glad you pulled through. Any UI scaling tweaks coming for the Steam Deck? We do have a Steam Deck on deck, and hopefully once we kind of wrap up a lot of the Fangs of Astronikarn tech that we're still working on, we do want to look into improving the Steam Deck support, because there's actually a lot of you playing it on the Steam Deck, and we'd like to make that better for you guys. Are there going to be new changes towards the loot system? Or maybe we can recycle some of our gear instead to get a random piece of legendary armor that is not part of the set. So in terms of loot improvements, like what I recommend you check out, because I'm not going to get like really deep into it during the stream, is we have in one of our dev updates, we're talking about the Ascension system, and that should give you a pretty good idea of how you'd be able to kind of cater the loot system to you. So I do recommend checking out that to see what you'll be able to do in the next expansion. What's the estimate is the size of the main campaign compared to the previous 2 expansions? Bigger, smaller, same size? I would say it is going to be on par with Forgotten Gods in terms of the world size. It's kind of about that scale-ish, yeah. Any plans on any skins for Werewolf? So any conversion mods that change the damage types of the Werewolf are going to change the color scheme of the Werewolf as well. And the same for the Were Raven.
Alright, maybe it's time for check out another skill. So as you could see, I was crying out loud every now and then in game, and one of the cries is the rallying cry. The rallying cry, I guess, works a little bit similar to Inquisitor's Word of Renewal. It heals you upon use. It is an AoE buff for your whole party. Like, it works for your minions, works for your allies if you're playing multiplayer as well. Gives you offensive ability, gives you movement speed, but also, more interestingly, maximum movement speed. So maximum movement speed now in a class. We didn't have that before. And also, yeah, Grim Dawn finally softened up the 135% run speed cap. This is already the case with the Hydra Devotion for ranged weapons, but now also for melee classes, so like for melee builds in the form of Rallying Cry. Are there gonna be many more ways in the game to get more maximum movement speed now?
Yes. So besides the Berserker Mastery kind of having it baseline, you will find that some of the new equipment will have max speed on it, just inherently for any class. So that cap of 135% is effectively something you can increase on any character.
Range Berserker is gonna be zoom zoom, yeah.
Yeah, Rage Berserker zoom with Hydra and that Rallying Cry. If the werewolf isn't vegan, would they be at home and barrel home? Again, that's kind of up to your personal diet habits. I'm not going to judge you for being a cannibal, but, it's up to you. Is there any reason to pair Berserker with a pet class? So, kind of going off of some old items, we had the Winter King stuff that wasn't a set before. We're gonna actually remake those items as a new version of them that are gonna be one collective set. And that will be themed around Berserker and pets, because who doesn't want to be a werewolf running around with a wolf pack, let's be honest. But in terms of general pet support, it's not really a pet mastery. So I wouldn't say it's going to be like something you're going to typically combine with pets. But that one set will be worth a try.
So it's going to be something like a global buff, you get more pet damage while you are a werewolf or something like that, maybe?
Yeah, things like that. And of course, we're going to change Hellhounds into wolves because we got to.
Yep, sounds good. Sounds like a prime set for the Primalist.
Can you cast Ether Ray while charging in werewolf form? So you cannot use a channeled skill while you're mid-movement skill, if that's what you're asking. Like, similarly how you can't use Vire's Might and Ether Ray at the same time. What do Praetorians get in order to be able to test the game? So if you get invited to be a Praetorian, you will receive a copy of the expansion, and you will receive the necessary information to opt into the internal playtest. We don't have an official NDA. It's sort of an, there's some unspoken and spoken rules about, what we expect in terms of like what's shared. We are pretty clear that like you are getting early access to view this stuff when the rest of the community has not had that opportunity yet, and we want to be very clear that it's not fair to spoil that for people. We have caught a couple of people in the past taking advantage of their playtest privileges and sharing stuff when they shouldn't have, and they had been removed from the playtest. But for the most part, everyone's been very cordial about this. We haven't had any serious issues about people disrespecting that rule, and I hope that a future generation of playtesters will continue to respect it.
Any sets that make it so that the Imperium Burrows shapeshift as well. I think Zentai showed a spoiler for Fire Wolves, right?
Yeah, there's some firewolves. So that, as the thread implied, is an item you can take for a zealot. So Oathkeeper Berserker combination, and that can take your Guardians of Empyrean and turn them into fiery wolves. An ETA for the expansion, currently the only thing I can give you is 2025. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but you know, we're gonna take our time and make sure we get you the product we're proud of. Is it possible to link devotion skills to the werewolf abilities? Yes. So any typical devotion combinations will work with the werewolf werewolf and were-raven sub skills. And you'll be able to apply any sort of on-hit stuff that normally binds to buffs to the werewolves as well. Werewolf Grim Dawn finally gets furry mode. Yeah, we call it furry tech internally.
All right, one more skill from the Berserker tree. This time we're gonna take a look at the passive Amatox Pact. This will probably very much remind you of Mokjogen's Pact.
Yeah, that mega artist person's been in the last few chats. I didn't ban her outright. I gave her a timeout after a verbal warning.
Without his mercy, none was
Let's see if she's earnest and sticking around.
You form a pact with Amatok, granting his blessing to
but
you.
I have a strong feeling from what she's typed that she's ESL.
Which should also work for your pets, of course, and also for all.
Absolutely can't read the big ass signs that no soliciting that I have everywhere.
Armor. We have a Eldritch Spirit interrupting me here. There we go. Then attached to this is a Blood Frenzy, giving you pierce damage, chaos damage, bleeding damage, attack, and casting speed.
To be honest.
So if you're looking for a cold damage berserker, basically.
There was that one Indian influencer we had the other day,
last but not least,
or a week or two ago.
Icebound,
that was pretty fun.
Frostburn damage and percent cold and frostburn damage, as well as resistances. So these are, I believe, the only resistances you get if you are a berserker, which are still more resistances than if you are any necromancer. But yeah, poison vitality resistance here, and yeah, that's pretty nice. I mean, very much like Mokjogen's Pact, basically from Shaman, right? Very, very similar, I would say, overall. And generally, I would say a very nice buff that you want to pick up on any berserker, but overall, like, not too, like, comparatively not too exciting compared to the other skills, of course. But a staple that any class should have in Grim Dawn, basically.
Any spoilers on dual class names? So we've actually, those have all been revealed. We actually had a little bit of a impromptu competition on the forum where players were trying to guess what the combination names were, and members of the community did actually manage to figure them all out. So if you go to the Berserker preview that's on our website, you'll be able to see all the class combination names. For example, I think I mentioned Oathkeeper Berserker earlier, that's Zealot. There's also Primalist, which Protoss mentioned, which is Occultist and Berserker.
Yeah, I think
Are there any plans to eventually fully abolish the difficulty system with new DLC and already huge map? It feels, I don't know what's the correct word, redundant. So we agreed with you because back in patch 1.2, we actually did effectively make elite difficulty redundant. By defeating the final boss of the base game, the Loghorian, you would unlock elite and ultimate difficulty right away. So and then there's the merit tokens that you can pass down to your alts to skip those the lower difficulties as well. So it's kind of up to you in terms of which difficulties you want to play. And this dog really needs to be let out, huh?
You got ads running right now, apparently, anyway, so... Dog reveal when?
Yeah, I mean, I think she ran through here earlier, but when I petted her, she was off camera.
Do the werewolf's attacks activate weapon pool skills? No, they do not. So werewolf has its own default attack, kind of, but it's not really like the default attack, so it cannot proc weapon pool skills. And you also cannot use other like default attack replacers as a werewolf. So you can, for example, play a Blade Arc werewolf, but you cannot play a Cadence werewolf.
That's right. Does Berserker have resist reduction? Well, why don't we take a look at the other Warcry?
Yep.
If we haven't already.
Yep, there it is. The Bone Chilling Cry, which I only have 1 point in right now, so it seems like it looks kind of tiny, I think, but you can make this very big and look much nicer, honestly. Why don't we spec into that a bit more real quick? Yes, Button Dash, there's also a YouTube stream if you have better luck with ads there. You can check out the YouTube stream too. I can link you the stream as well if you want.
Are there any new devotions? Not in this expansion. So we did have some in Forgotten Gods, but ultimately for this expansion we decided to focus on the Berserker tech and the Ascension system rather than introducing more complexity to already a pretty complex system. Honestly, I feel like at this point the devotion system is such a nice package that adding to it I'm not even sure would be a good idea. Sort of like messing with a Jenga tower when it's already just the right amount of precarious. GGG and Crate are the go-to RPG studios. Well, thank you. Would love an option to auto-use Spirit Potion when it hits 30% or something. So we haven't talked about the potion customization system yet, and we are going to get into it in a future development update. But that is something we're actually, an idea we're toying with, is having like an auto-trigger for your consumables.
Is this a permanent uptime debuff? As you can see from the debuff icon and my cooldown, it is. It has a 12-second duration, in this case 5.8. I think it's like 6 seconds recharge by default, probably. And yeah, this also very much confirms Berserker being a skill, or like a class rather, that supports pierce damage, cold damage, chaos damage, and bleeding damage, more so than other damage types. I'm sure you can also make other damage types work, of course, but this would be, like, these four would be the obvious damage choices if you're playing a Berserker. Do we have...
Even though you're not a... Sorry, go ahead.
No. Do we have any insane regen skill? This would point me
so
towards...
Berserker doesn't play too much into regeneration. Yeah. However, it has a new mechanic that is a percent heal, and that's on one of the passives on the bottom row.
Yep. Berserker, or like Fangs of Asakarn, bring us HOTS, like heals over time, basically, that we didn't have in the game before. Like Battle Surge in the bottom left. To train Berserker, there's no greater thrill than the glory of combat. As you land critical blows, you feel invigorated. So whenever you crit, you have a 100% chance of activating this skill, which then gives you a 3-second duration buff that restores 5% of your HP per second, so 3 times over 3 seconds, and also gives you increased energy regeneration. You can of course put more points here to, first of all, reduce the recharge of this, so you can proc it more often, and also to increase the percent health and the energy regeneration that this skill provides you.
Can I tell you about the new crafting system? So there isn't really a new crafting system per se. Maybe you're thinking of the affix rerolling system. We are going to get into that in a future dev update, but the general idea is that you will have an opportunity to reroll affixes on existing items to potentially get something that you're looking for to make that perfect combination. You're not a console player, nor someone that plays too much of the multiplayer mode, but is there any chance to get crossplay? A big part of the community wants this and would really help not dividing the community. While I totally agree that it's not ideal, Grim Dawn wasn't really built for crossplay. We don't really have like a central server that everybody could be connected to, which is just fundamentally necessary for 2 disparate systems to connect to each other. So unfortunately, crossplay between console and PC is just not in the cards for us at this point.
People have already asked. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to read the next question. Any visual conversion mods for pets? So I mentioned one earlier with the Winter King set. I think it's called Ice King, because we're going to keep the old items as they are. Like, we're not going to completely redesign your old items if you enjoy them as they were, but we're going to make you a new set that kind of plays off of that theme. So that one will turn Hellhounds into wolves, for example. So there's some other things lurking around. I think I might have actually hinted at one of them already. Not sure if people picked up on what those were, but you know, it's out there. The new map will connect to the main map of Cairn. Yep. So you will actually start the expansion in Fort Icon. So as soon as your character gets there, you'll be able to start that expansion content.
Does the percent HP per second, like, do the HOTS scale with healing effectiveness?
Yep.
Give you a good price on what I've got left.
That sounds pretty strong, not gonna lie.
Well, you need to survive when you're in the thick of it. We'll be getting Ether or Chaos Dot or Bleed conversion options in Fangs of Astrakarn. No plans to add more damage types. I think the game's got enough as is. And Bleed conversion has been something we could certainly do, but I've always felt like it's kind of been a unique aspect of Bleed, that it is just this fixed damage that you can't convert to or from. And I think we might just leave it that way.
Yes, and as Winter, I think Zenta already said before that Winter King said it's gonna be a, like, well, it's not really a set, but it's gonna get some juicy new Berserker bonuses.
Is max speed just movement, or does it include attack and cast speed? So max movement speed is a stat, max attack speed is a stat, and max cast speed is a stat that you might see on various items. But move speed is the one we've done the most with.
So there is
Bird
also
form
max
plus
attack
bird.
speed.
There is also max attack speed, and there are items that feature it. I'm not sure you've seen those yet, but they exist.
I don't
Bird
think
form
I've
plus
seen
birds
that.
would be pretty fun, wouldn't it? Sort of like a wolf in his wolf pack, a bird in his bird pack. Or any sound updates for Warcry. We did not update any old sounds at this point. Like, it's kind of a tricky thing changing old stuff like that, because sometimes you might just end up pissing somebody off that did like it the way it was. So usually we don't tend to touch things like that retroactively.
That is actually something that I also wanted to ask you, like, after hearing how honestly cool Bone Chilling Cry and Rallying Cry sound, like old Warcry really feels like a skill from another era.
I mean, because it literally is.
Yeah.
like some of the older stuff really does show its age when you compare it to the new stuff we've done, Forgotten Gods, and especially Fangs of Astrakarn. Like, there's so many ways that we've kind of raised the bar visually. Like, even the Drangul visual rework that we're doing for this next update, like, they just look so much better than some of the older models. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the nature of a game that's, it's been around. Is there a hard cap to how much you can increase max movement speed? There's no hard cap, but the cap is effectively just how many different items you can stack with it.
The funny thing
An
is,
option
though,
to push to nighttime. Sorry, I
Sorry.
interrupted you. And so we did make a setting that I think fixed it at noon for people for accessibility purposes. Permanent nighttime seems a little weird. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess if a lot of people want it, I guess we should consider it. But
I would actually love
Those
it
are
for
the
modding
planning.
purposes, but
for modding purposes, interesting.
so you can, like, always check. I mean, yeah. Anyway, we have a
I mean,
new
you
item
can-
here.
In mods, you can kind of do whatever you want with the day-night cycle too.
that's true.
So we're gonna run Zentai condones cannibalism on the front page. I did say that earlier. I'm not gonna judge, but are we gonna update the textures to 4K on the base game? That is not likely, for one, because that would raise the PC requirements significantly, and also would be a huge time investment for a game that's been around for a long time. Like we said, like, to actually retroactively go back through all that stuff would be huge. Like, that'd be like remaster level of effort. So maybe if we ever make a Grim Dawn remaster, I could say doing that, but like, to actually do it for the base game, like, that's just beyond scope at this point. It's similar, like how some people have been asking for a die system for gear, and it's just something you cannot do retroactively. Like, the item textures need to be set up with certain, like, paintable regions. And if you haven't done that for everything as you were making it, to do it retroactively for the hundreds of items that the game has now would be an insane task. Will there be unique shapeshifts granted by items? A certain four-armed creature, perhaps? A certain obsidian defiler, perhaps? So when we originally announced the shapeshift system, I did kind of imagine having shapeshifts that come from other sources besides the Berserker. But as we actually made the shapeshift forms, it turned out that there's a lot of animations required to make this work. So to make additional were forms, we would need to make full animation sets for each of those. So that's unfortunately probably not going to happen. It'd be really cool. I'd love to do, like, different were forms besides the two that the Berserker gets, and, like, have, something granted by a relic or something that lets you turn into other creatures. But yeah, I'm not sure it'll be possible to justify the amount of animation work that would take, because it's really like a full animation set.
So know where when they go.
Probably not.
It's a little bit of a bummer, but of course I can understand, like, you have to basically have an animation for every single skill in the game, because the wear forms
Right.
allow you to use every single skill in the game apart from default attacks.
Yeah, like when we initially started out, like we did actually restrict what abilities the Warforms could use quite a bit, but predictably that didn't feel very good in a class combination game. So we loosened those restrictions significantly over development, and you know that meant like, well, now we need an animation for this, now we need an animation for this, now we need a channel animation, now we need to make an Eye of Reckoning animation, and so all that stuff adds up pretty quickly.
Alright, I've just gained another level. Does chat have any favorite skills they want to see? We have some more skills here in the top, we have some like down the bottom, some on the right. What do you want to see, chat? Show me the weapon pool skills. Row 2, axe skill, wear raven. I mean,
More Raven seems like a good bet to show next.
there is a rare raven indeed, yeah. So, yeah,
You
just
can be
like put one
Cora's
on each for
Corax.
now. So the Were Raven, first of all, let's read the text here, I guess. Current mystics are known to take on the aspect of dread ravens to terrorize the enemies with their talons and ice magic. Through Mogdrogon's guidance and blessing, you too can assume the form of the Were Raven, gaining new bonuses and abilities for as long as the formation persists. Were Raven form has its own basic attack and cannot trigger weapon pool skills. So yeah, just like the werewolf, it has its own set of skills, but you can also use all other non-weapon pool skill and non-default attack skills. And then you can see the abilities here, the Ice Talons and the Cold Snap. And as you might see here, these do not have any main or offhand damage, like the werewolf has. So the abilities of the Were-Raven are kind of like caster abilities by default. We can check them out. And if we transform here, we can... I have to like actually rebind these, I think. These are the Ice Talons. And then also we have the other skill. Gosh, I was too slow. Wow. Let's see here.
Yeah, that's something that we're actually working to improve, so you don't have to have that frantic swapping around.
Cool. I mean, once you set it up once, it stays like that. But yeah.
At the very least, it should assign them the first time
Yeah.
when you transform into a Were Raven for the first time, for example.
And right now
But
this...
that's like kind of like one of the last polished level things we're working on in terms of the tech.
Well, right now I don't have the scaling for this skill, I think, so it's not gonna deal no damage. So maybe
Yeah,
better
it's kind
to
of tickle at this level.
Yeah, so it's maybe better to show it off in the base for now. But also the Rare Raven comes with two other abilities, the Glacial Talons, which modify your Ice Talons. So this will only modify the Ice Talon skill and nothing else, I believe. Which gives the skill longer range and also more damage and Frostburn damage and also slow on top. Maybe we can like
Let me clear your mind of regret.
max that out a bit. I should have enough iron, but still, yeah, okay. So if you want to
Are there any
play...
abilities that increase or proc of retaliation? So Berserker is not a retaliation-based class. There's some item skill modifiers that do introduce it, by default it does not improve it.
Stay strong.
Will the class details be posted after the stream? So VOD of the stream will be up on YouTube later for everyone to kind of catch up on if you've missed anything. That will definitely be your best bet to kind of get this information. U Devotion skills, I think I already answered that earlier. We are not planning U Devotion skills for this expansion. The system is already in a good spot. Let's see. Chaos Wolf is going to be off the rails. Blood Frenzy or Icebound are also party buffs. So yeah, those are part of the Amatox Pact aura. I'm almost caught up with one chat window. There's just one more, and then I have a Word document I have to read through.
Also, of course, the Raven can evade and jump around, just like the werewolf as well, right? So you have the leap here, deep animation, evade animation, which I think the evade animation for the Raven looks really slick. Really cool. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that turned out pretty well.
There's one thing, though, like when you are like mid-jump and your transformation ends, the jump also ends in that very second, right? So that's like something you have to keep in mind sometimes. Can zoom in a bit here. So there's no transformation of the Were Raven in the skill tree, but I assume there's gonna be some on some legendary item maybe. You become like a different form of a Raven as well in some way.
Oh, in terms of damage type shifts, yeah, for sure.
And also like the visual maybe changes a bit.
Yeah, some of the like Raven is the skills are so much more visual that when you take the damage type shifts like on items for it, it looks very awesome. Like the Chaos one, for example, there's a version of that on a monster infrequent that you can get, and on some legendary items that you'll later find. And that stuff looks pretty slick, I have to say. The artists did a great job.
Why can't the Raven fly? I mean, I would say it's a were Raven, right? Not an actual Raven, so then it's not going to walk like a human.
The wings would have to be much bigger to actually support that much weight.
Yep.
Are there any plans about a subscription payment for Grim Dawn, or how do we keep supporting it? Well, we keep supporting it because you guys keep supporting it. There's people still buying the base game and the expansions. Every time you spread the word and more people pick it up, that's helping us. When you're buying the loyalist packs, you know, that's helping us as well. There was a pretty awesome loyalist pack earlier this year that our lead artist did, Almanaxi. Like the armors are themed after various Grim Dawn gods. And if you haven't seen it yet, I do recommend checking it out because those armors are so awesome. Not in this expansion, next expansion 1. Oh, please don't make us do Dawn expansion 4.
By the way, why
The artist would be very sad.
while you can't really like assign weapon default attacks, right? You can still make a Raven do default attacks when you have move to on your left mouse button and then like press shift left mouse button, right? Like this, you can still see the animation here. I think it actually deals damage, right? Just like a standard default attack would do.
You could kind of force it that way. I mean, it's obviously not going to have a lot of any meaningful scaling on it.
Yeah.
But like those animations do exist because there are basic melee attacks you might get on items that would require you to swing your weapons, and in this case, the Raven's going to have to swing their claws. So that's why those animations exist and can come up for like this would, for example, come up with the various component granted skills, like anything that makes you like do like the attack jump that you like slam down on your opponent. Like the Raven has an animation for that as well to cover that circumstance.
Are there any plans for mechanics to improve dot ticks? I mean, I would say the onslaught system is very much going to improve dot ticks. Like at least the damage of it.
Yeah, I mean that's a multiplicative bonus on top of any ability you're gonna proc. So like if you do onslaught and say primal strike, that's a cooldown based primal strike, and you just slam down, like that damage is gonna be explosive, and the dots on top of it too. So yeah, dot builds will definitely benefit from onslaught stacking. Will there be changes to other classes to synergize with the Berserker class? Well, I would like to think that the synergies already exist, so we don't have to make any major changes.
The last skill for the Raven is Everwinter. I feel like this is, I mean, obviously a global buff for everything that the Raven does, so you can use this with like Raven skills, but it's gonna probably be more interesting if you use a Raven to like cast other abilities as well. So not only does this extend the duration of the Were Raven, this time not dependent on like what you kill, like in a werewolf, just by default like a flat 3-second longer duration. Probably even more with overcap points. I couldn't peek into those all too much yet. But you also got a lot of percent pierce and cold damage, as you can see here. This is like a lot per point. So say you want to be a, I don't know, Trojan Sky Shard Raven caster, then Everwinter is going to be really why you want to even make that build in the first place, I feel like.
Yeah, that'll be a good synergy for sure.
It doesn't really have any like nice visual here, but I mean it's just like a very nice buff that you have active as long as you are a Raven. And another skill that you could combine this with, for example, is the Berserker skill Winds of Asakarn, right? Like you could become a Were Raven. You probably, like if you wanted to play this, you probably only need like 1 point in the Raven itself. Like assuming you don't want to use the Raven's abilities, right? And you just want to be a channeler, you could do something like
you could do it that way.
This, right?
Yeah, if you want to just skip the Raven skills and just focus on Winds of Asakarn and just maintaining that Raven Everwinter buff, then you could totally do that, yeah.
So what
Are we going to refresh the fight animation? So I think you have to be a little bit more specific about what needs refreshing, because just like a total refresh is like not something we're going to look into doing. Like we actually refreshed the melee or 200 animations just a couple patches ago.
So as you saw there, Winds of Ossicorn is a channeling ability. It's channeling an AoE around you. It starts with a smaller AoE and then like increases in size. And just like with all channeling abilities, it scales with casting speed. And in this case, it does not only increase the amount of ticks you get per second with more casting speed, but it also increases how fast the Winds of Ossicorn expand to the maximum size. So getting high casting speed is going to be detrimental to, well, getting like good AoE coverage quickly if you want to like move around a lot. And only like when I have like an actual good AoE, then you need to really get some casting speed for this ability, I feel like. And then also we have the Hailstorm attached to this, which like throws down some additional icy projectiles, which we can also use as a raven, for example, like this. There we go. So you can be like a glorious raven caster here.
Yeah.
This looks very cool.
Zentai, make a merch store. That shirt is awesome. Well, I'm glad you like the shirt. Unfortunately, it is currently a Grim Dawn developer exclusive. Making more merch would be awesome. Like, we've tried reaching out to some game merch companies, but they haven't been too interested in working with us. So unfortunately, that's not something we really have the capacity to handle ourselves. But if any game merch stores want to jump in on that for us, so you guys can have some merch, we're definitely open to the idea. Loyalist 4, changing the appearance of the transformations when. I don't think we'd ever make a Loyalist pack that's exclusively to one class. Can you guys show some of the changes in appearance for pets when converting their damage? I mean, like skill modifiers. So I think I mentioned that we leaked some on the forums recently, but in terms of getting the gear that swaps the new ones, like I don't think Wrecked by Protoss is going to run into those during the stream today.
Not today, but maybe later this week.
Maybe if you get the right drops. So I will mention, if you guys keep watching the streams, because Protoss can keep streaming this class for you like in the future, even though I won't be around to answer all the questions. Any items that drop probably are still going to be placeholder in terms of art, so just be aware of that. It's like you're going to see a lot of like kind of, you know, basic common items show up on legendaries and stuff. Like that is purely placeholder because this stuff is still actively in development. This is just an early look.
Yeah, like I
We'll be adding more katana model weapons in a few years. You've been playing the game and haven't found a single one. So katanas are obviously a very Eastern themed weapon, and we haven't really touched that sort of aesthetic in the game, so we aren't planning to do katanas at this time.
You do have the samurai loyalist pack though, or armor.
There is that loyalist pack, yeah, which did kind of, you know, jump into different aesthetics. Like there's also the dragon warrior, which is like a very Chinese themed armor.
Yep.
And we actually have the Eastern set in the game, which is themed after like a classic Japanese outfit. But that was actually a Kickstarter backer that backed at the tier that allowed him to design a set with us, and that's the aesthetic he wanted. So that's how that ended up in the game.
Fair enough.
Can you transform into a Blight Fiend as Necromancer sometime in the future? That'd be really awesome. But again, like a full animation set for that would just be prohibitively expensive to do. I got through YouTube chat.
Yay.
I did it. Are there any other games in plans for the Grim Dawn universe, like RTS or RPG? You already have a nice strategy game, so maybe. So you've literally nailed it, because our RTS that is actively in development is going to be set in the Grim Dawn universe. It's actually going to be a prequel to Grim Dawn, and part of the reason why you're actually getting this third expansion, because one of the factions in that RTS will be the Kern, which incidentally will be featured heavily in Fangs of Astrakarn. And we kind of wanted to just tie things together a little more tightly. We actually kind of hinted at the Kern before in Grim Dawn lore, though we did end up retconning their name. Like a conflict between a Western nation and their Erelons that ended up with the Lokorian getting summoned. That kind of plays into things, and we'll get into that more.
Yep. Another skill that also is basically for late game probably gonna be the main reason why you're gonna be in that transformed state, especially as a Were Raven as a caster with Arcanus, for example, is gonna be the Form of the Beast passive here at the very end, which gives you more damage absorption and total damage modified to all of your damage as long as you are in a transformed state. And this is gonna be pretty crazy, I'm sure. 15% damage absorption, 18% damage modified, especially. Now we did have percent damage absorption on exclusives or also like other passives in the past, but 18% total damage modified to literally everything that you do is a lot, I think, and that is pretty crazy.
We'll see if we have to retune that, but that's the current numbers, yeah. Well, that's the idea. You transform into a were form and empower all your skills while they're active.
Yeah.
So that once again to kind of help emphasize the synergy between other classes. Like if you want to play a were form that's doing something crazy from another mastery, like you totally can, and this will help you enhance it.
Yep. I mean, in the end, it's like all a game of numbers. So some item that allows you to be like in a permanent were form, it should like always have Form of the Beast in the back of its mind, right? So I'm sure you will have to like balance around that, obviously, and then not have like some other crazy skill modifiers on top that would like totally get out of control. So
right,
it would all be perfectly balanced, obviously, right?
Perfectly balanced, as with all things. There are a bunch of item sets that only support 2 masteries. Do you plan to add Berserker to support any of these? I believe there are a few two mastery sets right now that are in fact going to retroactively get Berserker support. There will of course also be new sets that will support the Berserker mastery and other combinations. Replace Warcry sound of Dabble to Barb yelling, yup. That would be that might be a problem with Blizzard.
Actually, if you wanna have another Warcry sound, right, you just have to transform into a werewolf and then use Warcry in werewolf form, and then boom, you have a different sound, right?
That's true. That Warcry in werewolf form does not make the same sound. So there you go. There's a new sound right there. Needs more +% light radius items for permanent. Can I tease some new relics? Maybe I could. Let me think if there are any that are like truly that exciting. I mean, they're gonna be new, but I don't remember if the item skills are that special on them.
Yeah, I don't think like new items are ever gonna be exciting in this game, right? Like, why would new items be exciting?
Yeah.
I can't think of a reason why they should be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have done all this before. Why are you even here? Has there been any talk of a sequel eventually? Yeah, there's definitely talk of a sequel eventually. There's definitely people on this team who would love to get a fresh start without some of the jank that we've had to carry with us for, 12 years. There might be rumors of something like that happening someday. What damage is Raven themed towards? By default, it's themed towards cold damage, but you can, as we mentioned earlier in the stream, convert it to other damage types.
It can probably also serve as a nice pierce damage, like amplifier, maybe.
Yeah, you could do that. I'm not sure it'd be like the most optimal playstyle, but you could do it.
Yeah, but then again, werewolf does the same. So for most pierce skills that are usually rather weapon damage based, I guess you would rather want to be a werewolf. But
yeah, you need to see Eye of Reckoning Werewolf so bad. So that's one of the animations that's actually not ready at this time. It is coming. So by the time you guys get to play this class, the Eye of Reckoning will be supported by Werewolf. But if Wrecked by Protoss tries it, it'll probably T-pose. This Twitch chat, like I scrolled on Twitch chat and the scroll bar just keeps going up.
Oh, yeah, that's annoying sometimes. Yeah.
What's up, Zentai? What's up, Sacred Wizard 22?
I need to get to level 35 to equip this Ramzul's Misty Orb. I think that's a new item as well. I guess it's a
That is
placeholder.
That is a new monster infrequent. The art is placeholder.
Yeah. Okay.
Although actually, I think the icon might be placeholder, but the art might not be.
Okay.
I don't think like the bitmaps haven't been processed yet for all the gear, but I think for monster infrequents, most of the weapons are actually finished and should be hooked up. So yeah, put that item on when you can. We'll see if there's
Yeah.
some new art on it.
2 more.
Can Raven lay explosive eggs as mines? I mean, that would only really work if you were playing a female Raven, wouldn't it? That just seems like it would only work for half the players. Will there be any more components for item crafting to play with? I think there's already a lot of components in this game, so I'm not sure we want to add more. That said, we did recently redesign some of the component item skills for the upcoming patch that's currently in the public playtest, so you can check them out. Is the weapon pool skill increased proc chance going to be added to items from pre-DLC? For example, the smite spears from Forgotten Gods. So that is a mechanic that we are going to retroactively add to some items. I don't remember if those spears were one of those candidates off the top of my head, but you will find that some of the hot new technology does make its way back to old sets. So keep an eye out for some improvements. Raven looks so good, can't wait. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. The artist and animator did do a great job on it. Are any existing classes getting reworked in the expansion? Reworks are not something we really do. Like, we have over time, you know, we release roughly 2 balance patches a year, and those always aim to improve what's already there. So if there's any skill that you feel is underperforming, like, definitely give us feedback, especially when it comes to specific builds. Like, oh, I tried this build with this gear set, like, I feel like it's not really doing that well. These are my times in the Crucible. Like, that's stuff we're looking at and paying attention to. So there's never going to be like a rework, but we do continue to balance this game, and we'll continue to do it with Fangs of Astrakarn. You can tell Raven Form was made later and the animator was biased. Well, that's just not fair. I think both turned out pretty well. And yes, you can get a permanent War Raven. Can you make an Ether War Raven? I believe you can.
Will the werewolf forms be different for male and female characters?
If you tried making a new character, you know, as a female and trying the werewolf forms, you will notice that there are actually some differences.
No, interesting.
It's not like huge differences, but they are actually visually distinct.
That's pretty cool. So I assume the same is true for the Were-Raven as well then?
Yep. So like the female werewolves are just slightly sleeker. But mechanically they're exactly the same. As you can imagine.
Where, booba?
When will the playtest begin?
So the internal playtest will begin next month. That's all. Anyone that has already been a Praetorian or will become one soon will get to try out the Berserker Mastery and give us their feedback, report any bugs that might come up. We do not have any plans to do a public playtest for the expansion, however. So the first time that anyone that is not an internal playtester gets to play these classes will be when the expansion comes out next year. I know that's probably sad news for some people listening in. Will there be new ways to farm Cronley and Kaiman's Vigil? Negative reputation feels way too grindy even on Ultimate of table quests. So we did bump up those rates quite a bit a couple patches ago. Can you ask if Chaos Attack from Berserker works with a crossbow from the Harbinger set? One might even say that the Harbinger set supports the Berserker.
Oh. Alright, yeah, Onslaught, like boosting Doombolt. Yeah, I can see that. Well, we show a world map of what it looks like with Fangs of Astrakarn. We cannot show you the world map yet because it is still very much work in progress. One might say it looks like a pile of rubble that needs to be finished. Yep.
It's one of those things that basically gets done last. Because like if level work's still happening, like things are still kind of up in the air, and like where some things might end up. Like we have a pretty good idea at this point of like where everything's going, but stuff can and does change right up till the end. Is Rec doing a reaction stream to Zentai's FOA reveal stream, or is it vice versa? So we're gonna have to do a react stream to this stream later.
Yeah, I guess so. Infinite
Almanax,
content.
you react to Zentai answering questions with Rect. Was I involved in the constellation's creation? Yes, so I was the main designer working out that whole system. I went on a spiritual journey for 2 weeks where I visualized all that stuff, and it was honestly kind of surreal. Like with Sarar's like design tasks I've done over the years, like that was the one where I kind of think back like, damn, that was like peak designing.
Are we gonna get some like Grava map streams, map design streams? Is he still making maps?
So Grava is currently working on our survival game, so I'm not sure he's really gonna have time to jump over to Grim Dawn to do any level work. I know you guys did enjoy those streams in the past, and I should try to hop on the live stream more, both for Furthest Frontier and this game, to kind of keep you guys in the loop.
Yeah.
It's just been a busy few months.
I mean, honestly, even for us when we were making like the content for the community leagues, like when I got into map making for Grim Dawn, I was like basically opening, like having the editor open on one screen, and then having Grava's VODs open on the other screen to like just get some inspiration, or like understand like some, I don't know. There's always like some minor tricks that people always know that have like worked with tools more so than you have yourself, right?
Sure.
It's always kind of nice. Also, are you still using, or I guess Aminox is still using 3ds Max as the only usable like modeling program for Grim Dawn? I guess so, right?
So we are doing more Maya stuff now.
Oh, interesting.
We kind of did do a conversion that makes that work internally. I'm not sure if that stuff's gonna get released to the community. I suppose there's no reason why it couldn't.
Yeah, like having a Maya.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of Maya work being done now.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to talk to Almanaxi, but he might even be listening to this chat right now, and might have an idea about posting that for you guys. But I'm not sure if that will work now or if it will require the expansion.
Because, for example, on our team, we have some people that have like neither license nor any experience with 3ds Max as well.
Sure.
But they do have, for example, actual expertise with Maya as well. And then, of course, like Blender is always, but I mean, Blender's... I guess it depends, like, whatever you are using. But if you're using Maya now, then having access to that plugin at some point would be, of course, very nice.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he's listening, and he might have an answer for you on the forum. Any additional cold resistance from skills berserkers? They're from Astrocon after all. I mean, I suppose they could have some cold resistance on there, but it kind of seemed not necessary, especially with like how much elemental stuff there is on gear. It would be kind of thematic more than practical. Top your Amatak can only get so ranked. You're a huge fan of our soundtrack. Any news on that end? Are you still working with Steve Pardo? So we are working with Pardo on the soundtrack. He's actually been plugging away at all those new tracks, which I've been, keeping tabs on and giving feedback on whenever he's got a new one ready for us. They sound awesome. He's trying out some new instruments for Fangs of Astrocon, as you can imagine, to kind of get that theme of the frozen wastes and the current berserkers. And I'm really excited to get that soundtrack into your ears someday, because he's done a fantastic job again. Why do merch stores hate money? Well, I think they're the biggest thing with merch stores and what makes them so apprehensive necessarily to work with a company like ours is that we are ultimately an indie game, and we're not necessarily like a very mainstream one that gets a lot of like media attention and stuff. So that kind of does make them more apprehensive. Like, are they going to get a return on the products they're going to print or develop for us? And I mean, I can't really say because we don't really have a good reference to give them. Like, well, yeah, we've sold this much of this thing, so you can totally count on our players buying up your stuff. So I think that might be the main reason why they're they're not like jumping on the opportunity, despite the fact that like our player base, you know, has been millions of people that picked up Grim Dawn and over 1 million people picked up Furthest Frontier. So like those aren't irrelevant numbers. But it's also like hard to really get a metric on like how many of those millions will actually buy stuff, you know? And the recolor of Winds of Astrakan happens if a monster infrequent is also going to recolor the hailstones. I believe it will, yes. I will have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it does.
Xantai, please market your games more, says Chat.
Marketing is a very nebulous thing. Like it's like oh, just, you know, just market more, stupid. It's like seems like such an obvious thing to say, but like where's the most effective use of your money? Like Facebook advertising has worked very well for a while. I feel like the presence of media in terms of advertising has actually greatly diminished over the recent years. And it's not such an obvious like easy win as it used to be, where like if you ended up in like, you know, all the major game sites, that was like a guarantee that millions of people are gonna see your stuff and react to it. But now I feel like that's shifted a lot more to influencers and live streamers and things like that, YouTube, and that's a lot more difficult to just, you know, get disseminated, because then you have to you're interacting with dozens of different streamers potentially interested, and then you have to vet them and see like if they're actually real. Like you have no idea how many emails we get from people requesting keys that are complete bullshit, and it's almost obvious from like as soon as you open the email that it's bullshit, and that's, you know, that takes time and effort to get through, and that's unfortunately a part of marketing, is just getting through that. Will there soon be a discount on the existing Grim Dawn game and add-ons? So I can't say the specifics of what the discounts will be or exact dates. I'm pretty sure that the upcoming fall sale that's going to happen on Steam will feature some discounts, and if that one won't, then the holiday sale, you know, around Christmas and stuff, will be a pretty safe bet.
Oh, this is a new item, Glaive of the Black Blood. That's one, I mean, the art is not new. I mean, the bitmap doesn't seem to be new, but maybe the item is actually new.
I don't remember if that one got its art yet.
No, that seems more like a default X for me, to me right now.
Yeah, I think epic items have not been fully or arted yet. We have been going through all the legendaries, and most of the non-set legendary weapons are finished.
Warp Blast.
Epics are still work in progress.
Oh, it's coded as a spear, right? It's a spear. Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it's not gonna look like an X.
Yeah.
you're holding it like a spear.
Yeah,
It looks
exactly.
like an X visually right now, but that's just the nature of stuff being work in progress.
You can see the Warp Blast at least going off every now and then. It's kind of cool, I guess. Yeah, the red AoE there. I mean, yeah, the stats look good for an epic item at least.
And going off of that, like, we have the new awakening system that's coming in the Fangs of Astrakan expansion, where you will be able to awaken epic items to legendary quality. We're not gonna get every epic item in, you know, initially, but our plan is definitely to hit up many of them over time, like add them in updates and stuff. So like any future balance patches, we might be like, there's 10 new awakened epic items that you can check out. And I think every epic item that's being added in Fangs of Astrakan, so like like the one that Protoss just got, you prefer Protoss or Wrecked? What does your chat call you?
Honestly, either works. I think more people call me Wrecked at this point, but...
Okay, so Wrecked then. So Wrecked just got a new spear that's obviously not arted yet, but it will be, and like that one will be a candidate to become awakened into a legendary item.
Or some people prefer to like merge the two words and call me Rectos, as in wrecked by Protoss, and then...
Rectos?
Rectos, yeah. Either works.
As long as it's not rectals. That's something else.
Yeah.
Thanks for continuing to develop Grim Dawn. It's an amazing game. That's a lot of fun. Glad you're enjoying it. I'm sure the team, at least some of the team, is watching right now, and definitely happy to hear things like that. Like, you know, it's kind of too easy to focus on some of the negativity that happens in gaming communities, especially on forums, where frustrated people will vent in the most insulting ways possible. But at the end of the day, we remember that there's so many of you out there that are enjoying the game and love the game, and maybe you're not always telling us this, but like, we're making the games because we know people out there are having fun doing this stuff, and that is encouraging.
Is there a possibility for offhanded pistol? I've seen this question, I think, like 2 or 3 times already. Like, what do people even mean by offhanded pistol? Like, I mean, you can use a
Do you mean like an offhand item that just looks like a pistol?
like a totally
I guess
normal
we're just-
pistol, maybe. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, totally normal pistol. I see. I guess if there's a lot of interest in something like that, we can consider it. I never really thought about that because we have dual wielding pistols as a thing.
Or no, I think maybe people mean like melee and ranged, like combining
Oh,
melee
like
and
a
ranged.
pistol melee combo. See, that is not going to happen.
Yeah.
That is such a tricky animation setup. Like you'd have to have a system that can handle dynamically swapping.
That seems
between
harder
melee and
to
range,
implement
depending on
than
what you
doing
want to do.
transforms, probably, right?
And that too, yeah.
Kick.
If the RTS is a prequel to Grim Dawn, will there be materials present at all? So the RTS is set significantly back in time
Goodbye,
in
spammer.
terms of the Grim Dawn universe. So it is pre-Grim Dawn era. So ethereals have not yet made their presence known, at least out in the open. So at least in the first rendition of the RTS, there will not be like an ethereal army. Will there be any regions that are restricted from purchasing the new expansion? I certainly hope not. Like we don't have any like weird, like anywhere Steam is available, you'll be able to buy it essentially. Because it's not like we require an account or registration or anything, or any sort of weird laws we gotta like abide by in terms of doing that. Like I think Sony ran into that issue with the PlayStation membership for like Helldivers 2, and I think there was some weird legal stuff around like having that account. That like certain countries you just could not register for a PSN account, and that like made the game unavailable in that country. But anywhere you can register for Steam and buy things on Steam,
Where are my
you'll be able to buy
buttricks?
things with Estergarn.
Things misaligned.
What's the support skill for Rallying Cry? Well, maybe Rect can go over that node.
Oh yeah, we didn't check out all the skills yet. That's true. So Rallying Cry gives you the max movement speed, and Impulse gives you slow resistance and entrapment resistance, as well as crit damage. Again, like as a global buff to your party. Really strong as well, I think. Probably stronger in endgame than for leveling. Like slow resistance always seems to be like a prime stat that Crucible speedrunners like to pick up, especially.
Yeah, it's not gonna have a huge impact on you during leveling. I mean, like getting out of bad monster damage pools and stuff is gonna definitely help when you're slowed, but yeah, that's definitely more of an endgame bonus. Zentai, if you were to design Grim Dawn now without being tied to the current engine, what is the one thing you'd be looking to change? So the first thing I would change is the skill system, because Grim Dawn's skill system is very rigid. Like I mean, Rex probably experiences like modding it for the league. Like there's certain things you can do, and if those things aren't within the parameters of the existing skills, like you just can't do it. So one thing that we already actually did for our new engine, which will power the RTS and eventually a Grim Dawn 2, is a completely modular skill system. And what that means is that rather than the skill being like this is the skill, this is the template for it, imagine there's bits and pieces that you can combine. Like this thing makes this happen, and that makes these things happen. And so instead of having like one data table that all the parameters you need are in, it's going to be parts, bits and pieces that you can mix and match. So that makes for a much more powerful, much more, well, literally modular system where you can design abilities that this engine cannot make unless you have an engineer to literally code you a new mechanic. What we did with the game is very commendable. It's said that you had to deal with such an old engine. I mean, it's said and not said, but like, let's look at it from a very fundamental perspective. Like, if we did not have this engine, Grim Dawn would not exist, because when we started out as a company, there wasn't a ton of money to just throw like at Unreal or to make a new engine from scratch. Like buying the rights to the Titan Quest engine and then rewriting and upgrading it over the years was how Grim Dawn was allowed to exist. So, you know, yeah, it has certain baggage that it came with and certain, you know, limitations that we had to work with, but I think we did quite a lot of good things with it over, you know, the last 12 years.
Yeah, you certainly
some on-spot
squeezed a lot
gameplay.
out of this engine.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I've been calling it the Grim Dawn engine because it's changed so dramatically. How's the crate engine development going? I'd say it's going pretty well. We actually made a new hire for an engineer just a couple months ago now, who's working on the pathing system for that to make sure that the unit like responses and movement for the RTS feels top notch. Because that's so much of what makes an RTS feel good. It's just like how responsive the unit movement is, because that's so much of the gameplay, and we want to make sure we get that right. What do I think about Steam Deck support? As I mentioned earlier in the stream, we actually do have a Steam Deck in like among the team, and once we're kind of done with all the Fangs of Western content that we have to get through, we do actually want to look into supporting the Steam Deck more.
All right. Yeah, the skill transmitter for Red Ink Cry. I think I didn't show this one yet. This is another way to enable melee dual wield or range dual wield. Actually, like if you don't want to pick up this bleeding damage or you don't care about onslaught stacks, you can also pick up Frenzied Cry. And also on top of that, you get 4 seconds less recharge, right, to Red Ink Cry, so you can press this heal more often if you're dual wielding. Hey Noogie, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, guys. This is not Grim Dawn 2 yet, no. This is the first look at the Berserker class for the Fangs of Astrakan expansion coming next year, hopefully early next year, but yeah, at some point next year at least. And I have Zantai, one of the developers on Grim Dawn, with me here today. Welcome, guys.
Almost caught up with Twitch, I think.
Thank you so much for all the
That
subs.
scroll bar goes forever.
I did disable alerts for the stream today, so we're not getting too interrupted by chat today, but I appreciate every single one of you being here and all the support as well. Thank you so much, guys. Welcome in.
How long will the playtest be accessible for? So again, if you're invited to the internal playtest, it will run up to the release date, yeah. And then all those copies that people have for the playtest will just become regular copies of the game. Can one say that Korba set supports Berserker? One might say that, yes. One might say Korba was a Berserker herself.
So Korba's getting Berserker stats as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Please ask if we plan to add map overlay to let it easier for modders to do it. That's been something that we fundamentally disagreed with as a mechanic. Like, we feel that once people have an overlay, that's all they look at. And we kind of wanted to avoid that. So that's just something we don't really plan on doing. I understand that there are people that really enjoy that mechanic, so we're sorry that that's something we're not officially going to support, but that's been our justification. Any release date for Farthest Frontier, maybe? So we did just release our latest State of Early Access update for Farthest Frontier, where we talked about our plans towards 1.0. As you might have already figured, given that it's almost December, we did decide to push it back to spring 2025. We just want to give the team more time to polish, get the performance up, actually sneak in a few more features that we didn't announce. We actually talk about that in that State of Early Access update, where like we revealed some of the stuff that's coming in the next 0.9.6 update. And it's quite a lot of stuff that we kind of added that we weren't initially planning to. So hopefully it'll, help elevate the game just a little bit more.
Will Berserker have a conduit amulet?
Of course. So every class is a conduit full of meme options, and we definitely plan to keep supporting that for the Berserker. So some of the conversions for the Wear forms that let you change damage types, like you will find some of those on the conduit.
Is there a sign up for the public test, or is it more like a friends and family? There is a sign up-ish.
Yep, I think the link's going around. So again, if you are an active member of our community, a positive contribution especially, those are honestly the qualifications we're looking for. We're looking for people that are excited about the next expansion, and they're a positive member of our group. Like, we're not looking for top tier skill level, we're not looking for just pure casuals, we're looking for all skill levels, because we want to get everyone's perspective on like whether the Berserker feels fun to play, or whether it feels good at endgame, or how it feels to level up with, and then once we start getting into the actual content, how does this boss feel like? Does it feel like a fair fight? Was it too easy? Was it too hard? And That answer is gonna change depending on your skill level, and we want to get those perspectives.
Right, since we have so many people here now, I think it's a good time to show off some of the skills again, and maybe also show some of the remaining skills that we haven't looked at yet. How about the weapon pool skills or exclusive skills? What do you want to see first, chat?
We stopped being an indie company the moment Frontier hit early access. I don't know what that means. It's not like we got a publisher. Grim Dawn players are very loyal to this game. Did you think this audience would grow like this? Few games can hold such a place in the hearts of those who play them. I mean, honestly, we were taken aback by the reception to the game. Like when we were releasing it, you know, all those years ago, our goal, like the point where we're like, yeah, this was a good amount of sales. Like we did our job. Like this was good. Like we can work on the next game now. That goal was 500,000 copies. We are well past that goal now. So yeah, like the reception to Grim Dawn has been overwhelmingly positive to us, and we're so glad that this community has built around the game. Even all these years later, like Grim Dawn continues to be brought up among various ARPG communities. Like, you gotta check this game out. Like, it's the year 2024 and this game is still worth checking out. Like, that is so awesome to read, and we do appreciate that sort of banter that happens online.
All right, exclusive number 1. Berserker actually has 2 exclusives. So number 1 is Bloodborne. The other one is called Dark Souls, I guess, right? Bloodborne. So, those that given completely to their primal impulses discover newfound might and sharpened senses. Only the release of death can stop a warrior in such a state of mind. This one gives you bleeding damage attached to your weapons, crit damage, percent pierce damage, percent chaos damage, bleeding damage with increased duration, and healing effects increase. So, well, already one skill that can boost your hot, like your heal over time from battle surge as well. And if you scale this up, you get more of that basically.
Art's microtransaction said he's gonna play Fangs of Vesterkarn, so maybe hit him up. Yeah, I've been familiar with him, and I think we commented on one of his YouTube videos that when he discovered Grim Dawn, like welcome to Grim Dawn. So yeah, if he's interested in checking out Fangs of Vesterkarn, I can totally see hooking him up with the key, maybe even giving him some earlier access like Rekt has had here. Because I've seen some of his Diablo videos and they're pretty entertaining. So yeah, totally. Will it be possible to quickly teleport to roguelike dungeons? I consider that a cheat. I think if you feel like you need to teleport to a place, why isn't getting there more interesting? That's really the problem to solve for me. And I feel like the Ascension system kind of tries to alleviate that by making the overworld more rewarding. Because like you should feel like getting to the roguelike dungeon is itself worth doing. It shouldn't be like, I gotta just get there so I can actually do the fun part. Like, the whole thing should ideally be fun, and if you feel that need, like it feels like a failure on our part that first section doesn't feel good. So I don't think we'd ever add like a teleport system like this, but maybe we might want to improve the gameplay up to that point, from my perspective.
Maybe more totems along the way.
Fast. More what?
More totems along the way.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you had some way to put in some materials into an altar and make more totems spawn around the map, maybe that'd be more fun for you. Or maybe more treasure troves. Or maybe have treasure chests open up into spawning a bunch of Chthonian enemies. I don't know where we got that idea.
Yeah, no clue either. Okay, so there's one damage that's obviously missing here from the exclusive from Bloodborne, right? That you guys have seen this class support, which is this cold damage, which leads me to the other exclusive, Heart of Asakarn, giving you flat cold damage, percent cold damage, percent frostburn damage with increased duration, physical and piercing to cold conversion, offensive ability, and slow resistance. This one seems like very insanely stacked for example, a Nightblade plus Berserker combination for a Reaver. This seems like the exclusive that melee code Nightblades always wanted to have, really.
Yep. Can I talk about the new potion system? Not yet, but soon. I'm going to try to catch up with this chat by scrolling down. If I miss some of your questions, I'm sorry, but there's a lot of you and there's only one of me.
You can also check
Great
out
as the goat.
The visuals, yeah.
Zentai pushing you, Nick, for Rekt to chat, yeah. Can we get fishing in Grim Dawn? Is that a serious request? Does fishing need to be in every game?
Let me
Will there be a new Nemesis boss? There will not just be a new Nemesis boss. There will be new Nemesis bosses because we want to add new ones to the old old factions as well.
I sense turmoil within you.
In Fangs of Astrakan, can we fight McDragon again? So we have heard your request that you want to refight that boss, so there might be a way to do it. Nightblade plus Berserker seems like a great combo to try out. I like to think so. That seems like a pretty natural synergy. Grim Dawn 2 confirmed. Well, I'm not gonna deny it. I think it just seems inevitable that we're gonna have to make a Grim Dawn 2 someday.
Clear your mind of regrets.
Do I ever still play Titan Quest? I played Titan Quest a long time ago. I have not felt the need to play it since, especially after working on Grim Dawn. Like we've made so many improvements to the gameplay
Within you.
in our game that the thought, like actually booting up Titan Quest back then, like I forget we were like looking at something and it just sadly just felt kind of sluggish to play from our perspective. It's like we made the Grim Dawn melee combat especially feel so much snappier than Titan Quest was that it just felt rough to go back to that. And like Titan Quest, when I played it, I loved that game. I played it hundreds of hours, but that was kind of that fun moment in my lifetime that I don't really need to revisit myself.
Yeah, playing Titan Quest after playing Grim Dawn myself, I have to fully agree with you. Like it's like playing Diablo 2 after playing Grim Dawn as well, or like after playing Diablo 3 or Diablo 4. Like you can see why it was considered good back in the days and it had its place in the past, but I feel like games have moved on when it comes to snappiness and so on, and just general feel.
Things just evolved. And that's normal. I think we can remember a game fondly without comparing it to something modern necessarily, unfairly. Can we just buy the Titan Quest 2 engine? Well, to my knowledge, they're working on Titan Quest 2 in Unreal Engine. Obviously, they're having to build things on top of it, but no, I don't think they'll be offering to sell it. Not to mention that we are working on our own proprietary engine that we want to use for some of our future products, including RTS and Grim Dawn 2.
Safe journey.
All right, there's.
Will supporter packs go on sale for the holidays? Sorry, just trying to catch up on questions.
Go ahead.
Still.
Go ahead.
I think they do sometimes go on sale, but the idea of the loyalist packs is that they are support crate, so they don't usually go on sale, or at least not steep ones. Did both you guys work on Titan Quest before? So Rect has not worked on Titan Quest for sure, and I started on Grim Dawn. Madeira, who is the founder of Crate Entertainment, did work on Titan Quest. He was the lead designer on that game, and there's actually at least 2, if not 3 developers that work at Crate that did work on Titan Quest. Why no official ladder seasons in Grim Dawn? So the main reason we don't have that sort of stuff is honestly that we were a tiny indie company that did not have the budget to do that. Like to make ladders and seasons officially, you know, with like cheat protection and all that stuff, you need a server infrastructure. And that costs a lot of money, especially back then. Like things have definitely gotten more approachable now than they were, 10 years ago, but it's still not, an insignificant amount of money. And to do that retroactively now would be a huge undertaking. So it doesn't really make sense to. Oh, he just got wrecked.
I got fucking wrecked. Yeah, how? What?
Hashtag wrecked on stream.
Good thing I'm not playing hardcore. Eh? Well, Berserker needs some defensive buff.
That was
sure.
hardcore. That'd be embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Grim Dawn 2. Grim Dawn 2. It's just like 10 lines of Grim Dawn 2. Do we have plans to start working on Grim Dawn 2 after expansion comes out, or do another game in between? So in terms of our internal development schedule, like we've got the Farthest Frontier to finish, we have our RTS that's in development, we have our survival game that's in development, we're still wrapping up the expansion, of course. So we are currently, I think, at 26 people internally. So, that's a lot of projects active for not a huge team when you really put it in perspective. So in terms of when Grim Dawn 2 will happen, I can't give you an exact time frame. I think development on like some of the tech that will go into Grim Dawn 2 will probably start after Fangs of Astrakan wraps up. But when that'll actually turn into a game for you is hard to say at this point. You are banned on the forum and the Discord. Can you get invited? I'm gonna have to say no. Nerdy question on this, and I understand if we can't get an answer on this one, but does the game use QUIC or TLS? I know it's a little question, so sorry. I'm not even sure. That's a programmer question. That is above my pay grade. Are we on the team waiting for Path of Exile 2? I mean, we're definitely interested in checking it out. I've played almost every action RPG on the market, and I'm definitely gonna look into see what they're doing, to see how, you know, someday we're working on Grim Dawn 2, what we might have to, you know, work towards. Because these, like any game genre, like, is constantly building on itself. You know, like you look at the lessons learned from previous games to see how you could not repeat their mistakes, for example, or see what they did well and how you could replicate it. So yeah, we'll definitely be checking out PoE 2. I've played my share of Diablo 4 as well. Our take on D4's GM route of Ferguson's tweet. What was? I'm not familiar with the tweet you're referring to, so I guess I don't have a take on that.
I think it was about people should be calling Diablo-like games Diablo-likes now, and not ARPGs or something like that.
Okay,
That's
that's
something like that.
that's quite a hill to die on.
Alright, I got to this boss without dying now at least. And we have a completely new item here. This even looks like a new bitmap. Eldritch Blaze Emitter, interesting.
Oh yeah, that's one of the new monster infrequents.
Fire Strike weapon damage, Fire Strike, Fire Wind Devils right away. I think that's dropped from Galfang, I guess. Or maybe actually not. Maybe it's from the Drudge.
That actually dropped from one of the Korvax servants
Oh,
that you
yeah.
fought along the way.
Do they equip this? Is that why they dealt so much damage to me? Probably not.
Probably.
Maybe
No,
not.
actually no. They don't equip weapons, so no.
Alright.
But that is a hand crossbow.
Oh
Right
yeah,
out.
it is. It is a one-handed crossbow, which looks insanely good, but I think still has the sounds of a pistol.
Does it?
Yep.
Okay. we do have a one-hand crossbow sound effect, so I guess it just didn't get hooked up. We'll do a pass on that to make sure that gets cleaned up.
But yeah, it looks insane, yeah. Looks really nice.
Will I remove the Shadow Strike skips then? That's one of those things where, as a developer, I look at it and kind of grumble, like, oh, they're the things they're doing to our engine. But it's one of those things at the same time that people kind of find fun, and, you know, we're in the business of you having fun, so why break it for you? So I think we're just gonna leave it be. I haven't even gotten to my sheet of questions yet. I thought there'd be like a downtime where, like, okay, let me catch up on the questions asked before the stream, guys.
It's just a PoE crossbow? True, yeah, true. The PoE
Just the
crossbows
PoE
are basically like guns, right? At least that's how they looked like so far, I think.
Well, Dark Souls did it first, you know.
True.
What I think of the new WSD feature in PoE 2, and do you plan to move in something like that in Grim Dawn if it becomes a standard ARPG games? I mean, it does seem like WSD controls are kind of becoming the norm in the genre. So I think inevitably in a sequel, that is something we'd look into. I don't see doing it retroactively into Grim Dawn, because that just requires way too much of a fundamental change. Like, the game was not balanced around being able to run and gun. So I don't think we'd do that at this point.
The norm
But for a sequel, where it's a fresh, clean slate, like, I can see definitely considering that.
the norm for, like, I mean, for console versions or ports, sure. For PC, I mean, I guess for like people that play controller in general, WASD is very close to them. I don't know.
I mean, Diablo 4 at this point patched it in, and PoE 2 is making it baseline.
Yeah.
So I mean, by the time Grim Dawn 2 comes around, who knows if there's going to be another ARPG? Maybe Titan Quest 2 is going to do it. So it just seems
Probably,
like
yeah.
that's kind of what the you know, the market expects now. So I think we'll just have to seriously consider it for a sequel. What happens
Makes
when a
sense.
werewolf carries a shield? Will he be able to block attacks? Yes. So visually, you are not carrying weapons, but you will still benefit from them mechanically. I reached the bottom. I did it.
You did. Congrats, congrats.
Is it possible that all skills can be bound to either mouse button? There's no way to switch mouse buttons in the GD saying, so I cannot bind some skills to the left mouse being left-handed. Oh, I see, from a left-handed perspective. Yeah, that's tough, because the way it's limited is skills that will prevent you from actually moving. Those are skills that can't be bound to the left click. Because otherwise someone might end up in a situation where actually they can't even move around on the screen. And obviously we don't want that. But I did not consider it from a lefty perspective. So I don't know if it'd be able to do something about that. WSD doesn't need to be in every RPG. I mean, perhaps not. But it does help, like in terms of like a run and gun gameplay. Like does feel more satisfying to do that. Guys, did YouTube add anything?
Can we see the second exclusive? I did show both exclusives earlier, I think. There was Bloodborne and the Heart of Asakarn. What I haven't showed you guys yet are the weapon pool skills, which I guess...
Oh yeah, there's two. There's Bloodfangs and Avalanche.
Yep. I guess we can show them now. And they should be working with both. Oh yeah, this is something
there's no
that's...
timestamps. Sorry.
Yeah, this is something that sometimes happened to me, that I can't weapon swap. Maybe it's like after
true.
transforming or something.
Yeah, so you mentioned that before the stream. We're gonna be taking a look at that and see
Yeah.
it just happened for you.
I don't know if it's because of the transformations or because of something else, but... I mean, it definitely only happened when I was playing Berserker, and doesn't happen in the base game, so... But I can...
Yeah, we'll have to take a look.
Anyway, we can check out the weapon pool skills, I guess. And
Turmoil within
since Implements of War also enables dual wield for range, not only melee weapons, you can also check them out on both melee as well as range weapons. So, first weapon pool skill is called Bloodfangs. Cruel double strike leaves your enemies bleeding out. I mean, double strike already
what troubles you
tells you that it's gonna hit twice. Has up to a 26% chance to be used on the soft cap, obviously gonna go higher with a higher, like with overcap points as well as with items that grant you bonus chance to use on weapon pool skills now in Fangs of Astakarn. And
Bloodfangs actually hits 4 times when you're dual wielding.
oh, interesting.
It's a crisscross.
And yeah, also hits with main and offhand damage 90%, so that times, well, I guess it's like twice per weapon, right? It's like 180
Yeah.
left, 180 right.
Exactly.
Okay. And it looks like this, which I think is one of the most artistic melee weapon attacks I've ever seen in this game, and I really like it. Like a true... This should be like a dervish skill, right? Like a true blade dancer in a way. Really nice, I like it. And yeah, applies
Yeah,
like
those
a bleed as
blade
well.
arcs Almanax you did are pretty hot.
Of course, also with only one weapon it works. Here you actually can see the double strike. It's not like a twirl like with dual wield. It looks the best with dual wield, I think. But these double strikes also look pretty good. And then I think two-handed looks very similar to one hand. You can check it out as well here. Oops.
iron well spent.
Okay.
Are we getting new enemies in this expansion?
go.
What's their theme? So you can expect a lot of icy environments, also some corrupted environments. So we have actually revealed a few of the enemies already, and we'll keep showing them off over time. The theme is, well,
See your
tundra, chthonic corruption. Oh, I think I see a dog head behind me. No question, just want to let Zenta know you're very grateful for Grim Dawn, top to bottom. Well, I'm glad to hear it, and the team is too. What's this? New content in Grim Dawn? Oh man, I backed the Kickstarter and you're still going. Big fan of the game. The expansion is instant buy. Awesome. Grim Dawn remastered when? Oh, I think that would kill some of our artists to hear if we were said we're doing that right now.
Also, Bloodfangs has a 100% chance to pass through enemies, so similar to, for example, Chilling Grounds and Inquisitor. As you can see, it shoots twice with each gun and passes through the dummy and hits the dummy behind it as well. So it should be very good here. One gun looks like this, right? They're also shooting twice. And with the 2-unit gun, there we go. I think this might be the same animation as Chilling Grounds as well, maybe. I feel like the character is ducking a bit lower. Not sure.
These are new animations.
These animations,
for
okay,
sure.
nice. Also, the buff that just went off, I think, was the Battle Surge icon, which I think also looks really good. There's also a very nice sound attached to it. There we go, right, this right here. Do they work with a shield? I don't think they get damage from a shield, do they?
No, the shield damage is not included. It'll just do the one-handed crisscross.
Yeah.
Does Master Karn give us new factions, allies, or enemies? Well, why not both? There are 2 new friendly factions. I think we initially, when we announced the expansion, we said 1. There are 2. There will be 1 new hostile faction, and all existing factions that didn't already have 2 nemesis bosses will receive another. So a lot of new stuff to fight.
Alright, weapon pool skill number 2.
Let me clear your mind.
Pull some more points here. Is Avalanche. So you harness the Might of Amatok in your attacks, sending an avalanche of crushing ice with your attacks. This can also activate with all default weapon attacks, so you can use it with melee, ranged, dual wield, and also with a shield, but the shield's damage is not going to be added. And it has up to 10 meters range. I think it scales. No, actually it doesn't, but yeah, you get more damage scaling, you get higher chance to use this, of course, with more points. And it has a pretty cool animation too. Let's check it out with, well, dual wield melee first. There we go. Similar projectile as the Raven, I guess. Yeah.
Similar ice crystals, yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. And I really like how the character is kind of like, how do you say that in English? Like pulling the crystals out of the ground, right?
Yeah,
Pretty well done.
they're shredding the ground to make that avalanche. Yeah.
I kind of wish Bone Harvest had an animation like that, actually. Because, like, I think Bone Harvest is I mean, it's a weapon damage based ability, right? But when you cast it, I think your weapon just disappears, just like with other casts.
It's treated as a magic ability.
Exactly. I think this would be very fitting for Bone Harvest too, in my opinion.
Is there any new endgame system planned? So definitely check out our preview of the Ascension system. So if you go on our website, go on development updates, you should read one called Ascension, and that goes in depth into what the new system will be like and how you'll be able to customize the endgame to kind of suit your own playstyle. So I highly recommend reading that if that's what you're interested in.
I thought I crashed there for a second, but actually I didn't. I don't know what happened.
You can't crash on stream. Do I foresee the Path of Exile 2 update causing any delay in sales for Fangs of Esterkarn? I mean, I feel like we've got kind of almost a symbiotic relationship going with Path of Exile because first off, that game is seasonal, and second off, it kind of caters to a different audience almost. Like Path of Exile tends to be way more hardcore leaning, and so people tend to kind of go in and out of that game. And then like they go and check out Grim Dawn for a while, and then a new Path of Exile season comes around, and they hop back into PoE for a while, and then they come back to Grim Dawn. And there's people that are just like, PoE is way too complicated for me, but Grim Dawn is just right. So I'm not even sure that, like, I mean, obviously there's definitely some cannibalizing going on back and forth in terms of sales, but it's hard to say, like, ultimately, like when you look long term, if we're actually hurting one another. And I think we'll actually be benefiting each other in a way, because we're drawing more ARPG players to the genre who then, what's another ARPG I could check out?
For sure. I think Diablo 4 benefited Grim Dawn sales a lot as well. For example.
We did see a spike in Grim Dawn sales following Diablo 4's release. I mean, they have done updates to kind of improve their endgame since then, like quite significant ones. But like that initial reaction once people kind of burnt out on that first, few hours of gameplay, it did actually kind of result in a lot of people like, oh, what other RPGs out there, because I'm kind of burnt out on this. And yeah, there was a spike in Grim Dawn sales that was actually visible on the chart.
By the way, one thing I might have to point out here is this effect supposed to be in this direction? I think it's on the wrong axis. From
Which,
the ice, from the
oh
avalanche.
yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. That does seem to be aiming up.
Yeah, it's aiming up instead of forward. I think it's the same for melee ranged.
Yeah, that seems like an easy fix.
Yeah. For sure.
What are my impressions on POE2 on now? Do I plan on playing it? Like I said earlier, I definitely plan on checking it out. I'm a big fan of ARPGs in general, so I love playing them. And whenever there's a new one, I'm excited to see what else people have done that we haven't thought of doing. POE2 looks gorgeous. I'm not gonna pretend it doesn't. So I definitely want to see what they're up to over there.
I think the dipping of the guns into the ground is intended to make it seem like you're basically like shooting into the ground to like shoot up the spikes, which makes more sense, I guess, in an icy environment than it does in the desert. But
Yeah, this is definitely quite a contrasting environment you're in for this test.
yeah.
Zentai said they're not gods, they're something else. Would I be willing to expand on that? I'm not sure what thing we're referring to here. Are we talking about witch gods or something else? Protoss are already making plans for next 20 seasons with this news. Could we share sales numbers for Grim Dawn? Is it more than 5 million? I think if you include the DLCs, I think we're up to 7 or 8 million total now. So like base game and DLC sales, which is awesome. Like the conversion rate for expansions for Grim Dawn has been, I think, something like 30%, which is
Safe journey.
really good for add-ons.
Alright guys, which skills did you miss? Which skills would you like to see again? Want to see the Were Raven again, maybe? Onslaught? Okay, we didn't check out Onslaught all too much, I guess. So, I mean, the base skill is just a default attack. And then you have Open Wounds, which gives you bleeding damage, and DR, like damage reduction. And then you also have Endless Rage, which gives you more Onslaught stacks. And also like percent cold and bleed damage. So, let's see here how many Onslaught stacks you can get by just being a Berserker without items on top.
Farewell.
I think it's like 10 or something. If you max out Endless Rage. I mean, technically the base skill, if you want to like only use it as a like generator, an Onslaught generator, you can like put 1 point here and 12 here, and you would get up to 12 stacks, I think. I mean 10 stacks, not 12, yeah.
Yeah, if that's all you wanted the skill for, yeah.
I assume this is still like a placeholder icon, maybe. Maybe not.
Which one?
The Onslaught stacks. The tornado. Looks kind of like a stun icon, that's why.
Yeah, that does look like a placeholder.
But yeah, as you can see here, now we're getting 150% additional damage to the next offensive cooldown ability. It says like 150% additional damage, but I assume this is also like a multiplicative buff, like total damage modified.
That's a multiplier on top of everything. So like any damage modified like transmuters that we have that are multiplicative on the existing stuff, like that's multiplicative on another level. So just complete like damage totaled multiplied by, you know, 1.5 addition for if you get 10 stacks of it, for example.
So for example, here I have the sleep ability, which on its own deals like 700, 800 damage maybe. And if I get all the stacks up now for the Onslaught and then use the leap, I got like 3k, I guess, more. Which should be like basically the damage times 2.5, more or less. I mean, that's how it should work, at least.
That is what it should be doing.
The Onslaught conversion. Covenant of Chthon. This one converts all cold and piercing damage to chaos, so yeah, if you have any pierce or cold weapon damage, either from your weapon or from devotions or from your classes and so on, it's going to convert all of that to chaos. And the Onslaught effect itself looks like this, right? You have these like mini winds of Astakarn, basically like animating from you, and if you use this transmitter, they're gonna look like this. Maybe it's better to show them in the shadow here. There we go.
Can the next DLC be sea themed? Man, I don't think there's gonna be a fourth DLC, guys. We're already pushing the limits of this engine. We actually literally had to make a fix to make the map expendable, because there were limits to how big you could make the world with the old engine.
And of course, Onslaught being a default attack replacer, it can proc Blood Fangs and Avalanche. Yep.
A very important pet question. What is my dog's name? So I actually have two dogs. They're not in here right now. There's a Boston Terrier called Rocket and a Shepherd mix named Dolly. She is a pup and she is crazy.
You said that about the second DLC and the third DLC. I don't think Zenta said it about the second DLC, but he definitely did about the third DLC being the last DLC.
Yeah, I definitely said the second DLC is the last DLC. I that was for sure.
Yeah, like Forgotten Gods was supposedly the last one.
Forgotten Gods was definitely the last DLC.
Until the next
which
one.
is why we're now making a third DLC. But I'm really mean it this time. This is the last DLC.
Surely this time.
Safe journey.
Still about Barrowhome, would it be possible that an option to be hostile to them after you discover they're a bunch of cannibals? Well, you actually can discover they're a bunch of cannibals before making a decision. But in terms of like gameplay, it would be very complicated to like resettle that in the way you're hoping. So we kind of had to make a binary decision there, like you either commit or you don't.
Let me clear your mind.
Can you swap between Raven and Werewolf without going human in between? Not at this time.
Safe journey.
How will the class synergize with other classes, for example, the Oathkeeper? So we did kind of tease one item already that showed the Oathkeeper's Guardians of Empyrean turning into fiery wolves. So there are definitely going to be items you're going to find that are going to help you get those synergies. So Oathkeeper obviously has more like fire, acid, damage types, or Berserker is more pierce, cold, and a little bit of chaos. But there are, ways to convert between the two classes to get that optimal setup. For example, an acid werewolf. Look at this guy, Zentai saying want to have a fourth expansion. I mean it, I do.
What you actually can do, like even like when you start out without items, is you can basically be permanently in either of the two forms, right? You can be a Were-Raven, because it has like an 8-second duration and a 5-second cooldown. They can be like a Were-Raven for 8 seconds, spam your Were-Raven abilities, then right away transform into werewolf, be a werewolf for 8 seconds, rinse and repeat, right? So you can play without being a human ever. It's probably going to be rather hard to try to scale both transformations at once, but maybe there's going to be a way to do it.
There are some items that help you support that sort of like switching back and forth playstyle. Can people that are only on the GD Discord also apply for playtesting? If I've seen you around the Grim Dawn Discord and seen that you are being a nice member of that community, then yeah, you have a chance. I think being on the forum definitely has the highest odds because that's the people that we know the best. But that doesn't exclude people beyond those communities. Any chance that Astrakhan expansion will be out before 2025 February the 10th? That's a very it's her birthday. Gotcha. I think that February would be a very tough month for us to release the expansion in, so I'm gonna say it's not likely.
That's gonna be after February, probably.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be after February.
Stay strong.
Just show the skill again, because I'm not sure how many people have seen it already. The Winds of Astakarn, which you can channel in Raven form, in human form, or also in werewolf form. Which looks very nice in my opinion.
Have I played Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr? I had checked it out. As I said, I've pretty much checked out almost every action RPG on the market just to see what's up. So I had jumped in there too, yeah. will there be new items that increase the chance of triggering a specific weapon pull skill? For example, is it possible to use new gear to make a 100% chance of triggering the execution? You're never going to hit 100%, but there are items that will increase your chance of proccing weapon pulls. How does Onslaught work with transforms? So Onslaught, so you could use Onslaught to build up stacks, then transform and use a skill. But you cannot cast Onslaught within a wear form because that is a basic attack. Maybe Zantai will surprise us with a secret new class on release. The thought of adding an 11th mastery secretly is pretty wild. It's like a full team effort to implement a mastery. Like, it's not just like Zantai tinkering away on some numbers in the background, like we need artists, we need animators, we need sound guys, like we need programmers. Like, it's basically everybody in some capacity is involved to do this. So if I just said like, oh guys, let's just sneak an 11th class in, the whole team would be like, what? Excuse me? When next match will be available in the Steam wishlist? We should try to get it listed on Steam. Like, it was a point when you couldn't list DLCs like that on Steam, but now it seems like you can just pre-order and wishlist stuff. So it seems like rules just keep changing, probably for publishers demanding things like that. And we just get, you know, the tail end of the benefits. So 2 new DLCs then. Yeah, there's not going to be 1 more DLC. We have to obviously do 2 more.
Confirmed.
Where's Great Station out of? So the main team, or where the team began, was in Massachusetts, the New England area. But we have developers all over the country at this point: West Coast, East Coast, South Coast.
But only within America, right?
Only within the U.S.
Like within the US,
if you'd like to work at Crate someday, you do unfortunately need to be able to work in the U.S. Hint, hint, Protoss.
Yeah.
If you had any aspirations, just saying, just making it clear up front. Please add new range skills for guns or transmuter to make other skills guns range skills. You love range skills. I don't know if you've seen one of our item previews, but there's a certain one that has some Nightblade weapon pull skill bonuses on it. That's really weird. You're not supposed to be able to use guns with those. Rip South Part 2 coming out. Alright, let me take a look at this document that was pre-written for me. Apparently there were 27 questions-ish written before the stream even started, so let me try to get through some of these before I have to head out, because it's already almost 3 o'clock here.
Oh yeah.
And I have,
didn't
you know,
look at the time.
some other work to do today. And I also have to report back to the team of some of these bugs.
Oh yeah, you have to like
paying attention.
You have to work on your secret 11th mastery, of course, right?
Yeah, I have to go work on that 11th mastery. Like, that's not gonna finish itself by the release date. Can we transform into a Wendigo? So I did kind of get into that during the stream. Like, making another transform is a huge undertaking in terms of animation work. So like, I think Wendigo would be like the one I would want to do first, because it's just so thematic. But I'm not sure it'll be in scope to do something like that. What's my favorite kind of cheese? I guess it kind of depends if we're talking like sandwich or like a crackers cheese. So sandwich, like, I mean, obviously a sharp cheddar, but for like crackers, I'd say maybe a camembert. Should you try Arn's recipe? Yes, there's definitely nothing wrong with Arn's recipe, and you should give it a go. If transform skills are able to proc weapon pull skills and devotions, will they be able to proc other devotions at the same time? For example, Bolgothian's Shears tied to a devotion to transform itself tied to another. So first off, transform skills cannot proc weapon pull skills, but leading off of that, the transforms themselves are buff skills, so you could tie on hit effects to them. And the abilities that transforms have are attacks, so you could trigger on attack stuff off of those. So you want to end up in a situation where you're triggering multiple things at the same time. Can Nightblades get a Blade Spirit to Crow pet swap item? So you're imagining like a bird that's shooting blades everywhere. I guess we'd have to change the blades into feathers or something. That sounds kind of fun. It'd be a lot of work too. I guess we could start with the Raven Familiar for the Occultist. Yeah, I don't know. I guess if we ever like, it would kind of depend on what we end up doing as like a Were Raven bird combo, because that'd be kind of fun to do. So I think we kind of went into the offhand pistol thing a bit. Will the cold damage berserker items or sets be called garments of the berserker? Is this supposed to be like a Borderlands reference? Because they had a berserker in that D&D one, right? And no, it's not going to be called a berserker. So right to business. We know that the berserker transformation cannot use weapon pull skills. This leads us to the question: instead of an auto attack, will there be something like Reaping Arc, Blade Arc, Primal Strike, etc., pseudo auto attack? Will it be possible to level up the ability to use unique weapon pull skills in the skill tree, or will transformations have its own set of weapon pull skills in the base version, or with the help of some unique legendary items? Thanks and good luck with your development. So I think we actually covered this during the stream. The transformations have their own basic skills that they start with, and then on top of that, they can use active abilities from other masteries, but they cannot use basic attacks, and they cannot use weapon pull skills.
Yeah, just to confirm real quick, Vardor, I'm kind of ZDPS right now because I actually ran out of iron bits and I'm stuck in a were raven now while having like pure split gear for a werewolf. So
Nice.
yeah, this is slightly unoptimal right now. But at least you get to see all the skills.
Mm-hmm. Will we add new monster and frequent items that support berserker skills to first acts, or will we enhance existing ones to support them? Will you add transmog options for shape-shifting forms? Okay, that's like multiple questions. There's actually more than 27 because this person asked like 4. So the first question with the monster infrequent. So we are adding new items retroactively to old monsters. So actually you saw Rect get a crossbow from the Corvex Servants. There's other monster infrequents that can drop from existing monsters throughout the game. So vanilla game, Ashes of Malmeth, Forgotten Gods. There's monsters that didn't used to have monster infrequents, but actually got some new ones. And now that I mentioned that, you hit level 35, which means you could check out that scepter that you picked up.
Oh yeah, that's true. Let's go back and see how it looks like.
Which version of the scepter did you end up getting?
Oh, there's 2.
Yeah, there's 2.
Uh-huh. So I got Eighth of Fire, Ramzul's Misty Orb. Okay, this is
Okay, yeah,
Aether Wind Devil item.
Let's see if that's got its final. Yeah, it's got its art. Cool. So if you remember those like spheres that are inside Ramzul's boss arena, like that's what that's based off of. And there's an ether version and a lightning version of that monster infrequent.
Very nice.
But yeah, as I mentioned, the bitmaps are one of the last things we do, so that's still a placeholder. Next question of this barrage was, will you add transmog options for shape-shifting forms? So as you might have already seen during the stream, when you take items that transform the damage types of the shapeshift, they also visually change. What identity Berserker Mastery does Berserker Mastery have, and will we add unique sets that double down on that? So we actually revealed the Fenris set in our last development update, and that goes into how you can become a permanent werewolf. And that's kind of the identity we doubled down on for Berserkers, that, you know, Berserker has a lot of the shape-shifting stuff. We want their class set to be themed around that. But there's a bunch of other sets. There's some sets that retroactively receive Berserker support, and there's new sets that are being added. I think at this point it's 13 or 14 that are going to be in the base game, and then, you know, we're going to add more in updates. But most of those will support Berserker, combined with other classes.
I got a couple of items here that have like bonuses to Berserker skills, or like affixes with Berserker skills on it. Like, for example, Dauntless Will being a new suffix for boots with +2 running cry, or Frostborn prefix giving you like skill points to Were Raven of Dire Scales. I think it doesn't have any Berserker stuff, but I haven't seen this one yet. I think it's some pet suffix, some new pet suffix.
Yeah, that's a pet one.
What else do we have? Like Watcher of the Frozen North, giving you like bonuses to Avalanche, or Zealot's Gauntlets, +2 to Battle Surge, Interrogator, Untamed Rage. These are some new items. Or yeah, the Terror Weave Band, which drops from like some of the spiders in the base game as well. Bonuses to Glacial Talons, or the normal Weaver Ring is also new. There's lots of like new items for that you already like can drop in early acts that support Berserker as well.
Yeah, predictably, the Berserker's cowl supports the Berserker.
Yep, yeah, that's exactly.
You're actually wearing it.
Yep, there it is.
Dual wielding two-hand mastery when? I'm gonna personally say never. I am fundamentally opposed to the idea of dual wielding two-handed weapons, and so long as I have the say in that, I'm not gonna add it to the game. I just fundamentally dislike that mechanic. I feel like it just muddles the difference between two-handers and dual wielding. And for balance perspective, it's just so difficult to make it fair. Either you end up just like, it's the obvious choice to do two-handers, or it's not. Like, I just don't think it's a very enjoyable thing to balance. Or, I mean, yeah, visually, obviously, it's very cool to have these two huge weapons, but yeah, I just don't like it from a balance or gameplay perspective. What will happen first, your Nemesis or Grim Dawn 2? I don't know. How much are you paying for a Nemesis? How much money you got to pay the team for that? Can we please have Alexa's Fresh Freeze do something if it doesn't freeze? So we did address that a little bit in a recent update where it does have some inherent freeze resist reduction. So you can actually freeze everything at least a little bit with it, and consequently apply its damage or resist reduction effects. Are there any plans to add a customizable loot filter to the game? In the current state, the filter is not usable. I think not usable would be a bit dramatic of a statement because it definitely is usable. But yeah, I do hear you that the loot filter could be more powerful, and I'm not sure if it's something that we'll get around to for the base expansion, but maybe we'll find some ways to improve it down the line.
I think like the last time you improved the Twitter, I think was post Forgotten Gods expansion as well, like with a patch later. So maybe that's something that we can expect maybe further down the line and not on release.
Yeah, it's hard to say at this point. Like, I think there are ways we can improve the loot filter. It's sort of a question of like how much time can we put into it, and
yeah.
If I can turn into a bird dude, does that mean I can fly and ignore ground effects? That would be such a cool quality of life transformation upside. It would be a huge upside, you're right. It would be almost too good of an upside, which is why we didn't kind of go for that angle. Flying would be cool, but also mechanically very problematic. What advances we pull out of the Grim Dawn engine, making the Berserker you previously thought were probably impossible? Well, transforming for one. There was a point years ago when a programmer just straight up said, like, this engine cannot support shapeshifting. And we're like, okay, let's not do that. But we kind of
Here we are.
had the inkling, like, what if we tried again? So we reached out to one of the programmers and we're like, but what if we added shapeshifting? And 1 weekend later, he's like, here it is. It wasn't finished. Like, there was a lot of work that had to go into making it, you know, playable. But on a Saturday night, he just went in and made the fundamental base transformation effect, like, that weekend. We're like, okay, I guess we can do that for mastery.
Was he one of the original programmers you had in the team, or was he like a new addition?
No, this is like the original programmer of Grim Dawn.
Okay. Well.
And yeah, he just
did it.
Went in there and he was just like, here it is. And like I said, it took significantly more work than a weekend to implement it all the way through. Like, there's a lot of work, a lot of nuance that had to go in, like a lot of like edge cases. Like, there was like literally a bug with, like, I think you just saw you do Shadow Strike with Weir Raven, like that for a time actually bugged out and would just freeze you in a T-pose. And then your weapons would like show up underneath you, like as you're still in Weir form, because like that's just like a combination of things happening in the engine that like we did not account for when we added shapeshifting. So like we had to go through like all the skills and be like, does this work? Does this work? Does this create a weird issue? So like there's a lot more than just a weekend's worth of work.
Also, one thing that I just noticed that I think I haven't noticed actually before while playing this playtest version is that the charge mechanic is in, which you don't see all that much on the Berserker class. It's going to be more obvious on the Demolitionist class, but it's also there for pots, right? Like potions have, it says users here, it doesn't say charges. I guess it's slightly like different, but you can like use potions back to back now, I think, right? It's a bit hard to see because the number is very small. Okay.
Yeah, so that's work in progress stuff.
Okay.
So that's part of the potion customization system. So like you will be able to do things like that, where you can make potions usable back to back, for example. But that's all still very much work in progress.
Okay.
That's just why we're not quite ready to talk about the potion system today, but I think in the near future. Because like the UI is not even like finalized visually yet. Like it works, but
Yeah.
it's not something I could show you in a dev stream. Like look at this nice unfinished UI we have.
Yeah, sorry for bringing it up.
No, it's totally fine. Will we
Exposed.
implement an optional game mode where you can level and alt without needing to redo all the story all over again? Think of adventure mode in Diablo 3, for example. I'm not sure that's something we do at this point. We did make it a lot easier to level up alts and get them to the campaign and to the end game much faster over time. And I mean, I think we'll continue to support that in whatever ways makes sense. But like a full-on game mode where like you skip the story is probably not something we'd do. Please find out all of the mastery combo names. So if you look at the Berserker reveal on the forum, the official website, we do reveal all the combo names on there.
Yeah,
Soldier and Berserker is Thane. Oathkeeper and Zealot, Oathkeeper and Berserker is Zealot. We did reveal those during the stream at least.
Yep.
The
Also-
expansion delayed. How's the progress going? When can we expect the expansion? Please don't be EHG and don't say when it's ready. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it's gonna release when it's ready. 2025. That's all I can tell you. Will transformations act more like passive benefit, or will it be an active component to the gameplay? Well, I think the stream kind of answered that for you. Randomization is fantastic in Grim Dawn. That being said, some damage types don't have as robust support as others, namely Bleed, Chaos, and Ether. I mean, if you feel that those damage types are lacking in some gear slots, for example, that's something to bring up in feedback. I'm not sure I fundamentally agree that those aren't as supported. Maybe some of their items might be underpowered and in need of a buff, but I think itemization covers all the bases pretty evenly at this point. When making the Berserker Mastery, did you see an opportunity to fill some gaps, or was it just about making the Mastery as interesting as possible? I think it's a little bit of both. It's kind of looking like, well, what have the Masteries covered so far? What would be a good addition? Like, it kind of felt like, well, cold damage could use some more variety. So let's make a Mastery that has cold in it. And, you know, then we kind of went from there and like, well, what else would make sense in this? Because, you know, Mastery can't have just one damage type. So, you know, then as we kind of worked out what the Mastery would even be, like, okay, so the Mastery is going to be a Berserker Shapeshifter. Like, what damage types would make sense for that? So then we came out, you know, cold damage makes sense because that's what we wanted to do fundamentally. And then Pierce and Bleed were a good addition to that. And as we kind of worked out what the story of the expansion was, well, it seems like the kind of corruption of the Chthonians would be a good fit in there. So then we added the transmuter for the werewolf, for example, and now the bone chilling cry then also reduces chaos resistance as well. And that was kind of the thought process that ended up with those damage types.
Yeah, I
Can you
think
tell us the official build balance metrics, Shadow Realm, Crucible, etc., to evaluate new and old builds? Well, I mean, the targets kind of are in the 4 to 5 minute range for the Crucible. Shattered Realm, well, now it's shard 31 because we did just squish the Shattered Realm. But that's so previously shard 70, 71 would kind of be the goal. Like if a build is strong, it can handle that in a reasonable amount of time. Then those metrics kind of came organically from what the community was doing. So it's not like we're like very strictly like, no, this is what we're gonna aim for. But the community decides something else, and we're gonna screw you guys. Like we're gonna ignore what you guys want. So like we kind of went with what the community organically kind of leans towards, and those are the numbers that we kind of look at. Like, okay, something way faster than those numbers. Okay, that needs some adjustments. But for the most part, I would say that nerfs are pretty rare. What damage types do the skills have, and are there any obvious class combinations? I think the stream kind of went into that, I guess.
yeah.
In terms of obvious class combinations, I hope all the classes will have some synergy for you. For those of us who love crafting unusual builds, is there a dark horse synergy or hidden gem skill in the Berserker's toolkit that we should look out for? I hope none of them are the dark horse. I mean, I certainly wouldn't say that before the class releases. It might turn out that something is under-supported once, you know, people are playing.
Like, which combination is going to be the new Defiler, right? That's the question. I
Right,
guess.
who's going to be the new underrepresented class combination with the new class? Are there any plans to update existing legendaries or sets to synergize with the Berserker, similar to how the classic items got new life with other mastery introductions? Yep, so we kind of covered that a little bit already. So there are going to be existing items that get new bonuses, existing sets that get new bonuses, and there'll be tons of new items as well.
It's not a dark horse because it's obvious. Yeah, my chat likes to think that any combination with Necromancer is always the worst.
And anyone?
I think Necromancer is actually pretty good for pet, like way better for pets than it was in the past now. But yeah, maybe
Yeah,
like
Necromancer has some really strong pet builds right now. So at the very least, pets.
yeah, maybe I'm not playing enough. I mean, I am definitely not playing enough pets on stream, so that's maybe why people think that Necro is not the best right now.
I was wondering if there'll be an upgrade to DirectX 12 for Grim Dawn or the implementation of FSR DLSS as upscaling technologies. Sorry, I don't have any questions about a class. I haven't seen yet. That's fair. I don't think it's likely that we'll do DirectX 12 at this point. Like, we do want to maintain support for the systems that can already run the game. So we don't want to alienate anybody by saying like, well, now you need DirectX 12 to play Grim Dawn. Sorry people that are playing on a laptop from a while ago. That game you were enjoying is no longer playable. That would be an awful thing to do, and we don't want to do that. In terms of DLSS upscaling, I'm actually not sure how much that would benefit Grim Dawn, because a lot of the bottleneck for people is actually not your GPU, but your CPU, where DLSS is just not going to do much for you.
Yeah, Grim
So-
Dawn, while it's kind of multi-core, is still also kind of single-core, right? It's like it
Right.
can't.
Like there's definitely one core that does more of the work than the others.
Yeah, for sure.
But the whole thing about Grim Dawn being a single core game is just a myth.
Yeah.
So stoked will there be a Berserk like from the manga two-handed sword to complement the wolf aspect. Any other worse skins? Will the animation moveset or Were-Raven be the same or different from the werewolf? So I think you've already seen that the werewolf and Were-Raven have very different animation sets, which is part of what made it so much work to make even one of those. In terms of a Berserk manga reference, one of our programmers actually brought that up, and I think we're definitely gonna have to make some sort of set that supports that kind of aesthetic. I haven't read the whole Berserk series, but I've watched the anime that they had a long time ago, and that one was really cool.
Yeah, Berserk was really good.
Would it be curious to show off the potential of Warform using the Eye of Reckoning skill? Sorry, we can't show it on stream today.
Soon, TM.
Yeah, soon, TM. Can we expect infinite scaling dungeons like the ones in League? I think Ascension mode kind of covers making the world difficult and replayable.
Yeah.
How many team members is Crate up to now? If I remember, we released GDU of 13, so I think when Grim Dawn released, we had like 9 people, and we might have hired some more that started working on Farthest Frontier. But in terms of where we are now, I think we're up to 26 in the whole company, but they're not all working on Grim Dawn.
It's pretty mana heavy. I mean, playing double transform, both maxed out, is definitely pretty mana hungry, and that's true. Or like energy hungry, I should say.
Yeah.
Usually you're not gonna you're probably not gonna play like this. Or if you play like this, you might want to get some actual energy components, which I don't have right now, or maybe like invest into spirit, or play maybe like an Arcana secondary. There's many different ways in Grim Dawn to get your energy regeneration covered.
Yep. Are you finally optimizing the game to utilize the CPU's multi-core? I mean, the game's been optimized to death over the last 10 years. There isn't really much more we can squeeze out of it without like fundamentally rewriting the engine. Will Anasteria get a proper Nemesis boss in the new expansion? Anasteria is the Nemesis boss of her faction. In fact, if you pay attention to her name as you're getting your infamy with her increased, you'll see that it changes based on which level of her you're fighting. Isn't Bleed pretty heavily resisted by tougher monsters? It is pretty heavily resisted by certain monsters, but Bleed also has some of the highest resist reduction bonuses in the game.
Especially with Berserker, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like Shaman Berserker or Occultist Berserker. Pretty strong bleed reduction.
Yep.
Let me pop back into Twitch chat in here.
Oh yeah, is there any or have you spent some thought about maybe re-adding some cooldown to, for example, a skill like Blade Spirit, so like stacking bleeds from multiple Blade Spirits isn't as easy? I mean, this is rather like a balancing question, I guess. It doesn't really have anything to do with Berserker, but maybe like going forward.
Second cooldown on them?
Yeah,
What do
like
you mean?
Blade
Because,
Spirit
like, they're
currently has, like-
permanent now, so
Yeah, but you can like resummon them over and over, and then their bleed is in a stack, right? Like, so you can have like not only 3 or 4 Blade Spirits applying bleed, but like 10 to 20 if you have like enough bleed duration, right? And that
Yeah,
kind of like
gotcha.
scales the bleed damage a little out of control sometimes, at least against like bosses that have enough HP,
yeah.
which matters more in the league environment than like in the base game, I guess, but it's still just like
Yeah.
a thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think the simplest solution there is to just add a cooldown and increase the summon, like how many are summoned at the same time, so you're not like waiting for cooldowns when you first get into the game. But then yeah, you'd have a cooldown like in combat. Yeah, I think that's honestly the simplest solution to that.
I mean,
little
it's
cheesy
gonna be a little
mechanic.
annoying for people that wanna just like relog and like have them out all at once, but
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we just add like, you know, summon burst.
oh
So
yeah,
say you just summon 3 at once when you start up your session, and they all pop out at the same time.
and then you
you're
can
good.
add a long cooldown. Yeah, true.
Yep. So like
Yeah.
it could be like a 30-second cooldown or something.
For
and
example, yeah.
yeah, then you can't cheese that anymore. Yeah, I can look into that later.
It doesn't fix the balancing though. I think it does if the cooldown is long enough. Probably.
Yeah, because like in normal circumstances, you never have a reason to press that button unless you're trying to do something cheesy like that. So yeah, a cooldown will definitely address the issue. How does Ascendant mode difficulty compare to going up against the big celestial bosses? Ravager still wrecks you on Ultimate. I'd say it's a very different experience because it's balanced more like the Shattered Realm. So like Shattered Realm Shard like 60, 70 might be like where the difficulty starts, but then you can make it higher depending on your experience level and like how geared you are.
I mean, you
And
would
you-
still be able to resummon once, I guess. So if you have like say 4 spirits, you would get like bleed stacks times 8, but at least not like times 20 and so on.
Right. I mean, it'll cap off how much you can cheese it.
Yeah, which is already an improvement, I would say, personally.
Any chance for more account stash slots? Yeah, the stash will be expanded. I think we'd like to do some improvements to it too. And like one thing we're kind of considering, I'm not sure if it'll happen, is to have a dedicated stash tab that's for all your components and crafting materials, and then have a way to just automatically deposit them from anywhere. So you don't have to go to the stash to deliver those things to your shared stash. How many new monster infrequents will we have? I think last I counted, it was like 90, but that number's actually gone up. In fact, we added 4 new ones just this morning. That's part of our problem why we had to delay the expansion, is because we just keep adding stuff that wasn't originally on the schedule. Is the form of the beast it considered that he holds a cold weapon? What does Reaping Arc look like in forms? Forms can use Reaping Arc. So Reaping Arc will have the same visual effect that it does on the base item, but yeah, Werforms can use those skills.
Yeah, Werforms can use all skills that are not default attacks or like default attack replacers. So anything you can imagine on a relic or like from another class. You can do Promise Strike as a Raven, for example. Blade Arc as a Werewolf. You can do Force Wave as either.
Any sources of percent max crowd control resistance? Probably not. A lot of sources of crowd resistance in the game have pretty much been removed. So it's a lot more about dodging the correct skills and less so about just getting permanently CC'd during fights.
I'll give you a good
Any thoughts on cutting out elite difficulty? I mean, effectively it has already been cut out. You can totally skip it if you want.
Put it to good use.
Is Shattered Realm progress going to be saved by single shard? Every 2 shards instead of every 5.
So if you want to push, but take a break, you still have to like redo 1 shard every time, right?
Yeah, if you stop before you reach the like a next checkpoint, you have to just redo 1 shard instead of 4.
But like the one that gives you the checkpoint is, you would always have to redo that one as well, right? Like if you push to shard, what is it, like 3 to get the checkpoint for 3, then the next time you enter you have to do 3 again, right?
Yeah, so you'd get to 3, or you yeah, I guess you had to. No, yeah, it's about getting to it. Like, so yeah, you do 2, then you unlock 3, and I think you get the checkpoint.
Do you unlock 3 when you do 2? Do you get the waystone for 3 if you do 2?
See, now I'm misremembering.
Like that's how
it's retroactive, or as you beat it.
Like in the base game before with 5 shards, it was so like, for example, if you did what was it, like shard 15, I believe, gives you the first, like the second waystone, for example.
Okay, so yeah,
you have to do 15, then you get the waystone for 15. But then if you take a break and you start pushing again, you have to redo the 1 shard 15 again.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not 4.
So it's that.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to still like redo 1. Okay. Yeah.
Any major additions, changes to the constellations? Will there be more devotion constellations? We do not have plans to add more constellations to the Forgotten or Fangs of Astrakan expansion. We feel that the system is at a pretty good place, and it's not worth adding things just for the sake of adding. Can one of your engineers make it so dots from player pets do not stack? The way you play the best dot builds right now is really fun, not fun to play. Spam the player pets. Oh yeah, we just talked about that. And yeah, that should not be the best way to make a bleed build.
If you find any blueprints, bring them back here.
Any thoughts how to make flat energy not worthless? Where have you found flat energy on an item or skill that's not like mostly flavor?
Off the sea suffix, yeah, off the sea is always.
Don't add cooldown, fix the engine. I don't think making dots from pets not stack is the solution. I think having dots from pets stack is fine. It's just this one exploit is the problem.
I'll keep an eye on this.
I'll give you a good price on what I've got left. What troubles you?
How do ranged units interact with were forms? So ranged weapons do not fire when you're in a were form. You do get the damage from them. So like it's like if you turn into a werewolf or using a gun, the weapon damage of your gun will get added to your basic werewolf attacks. But you're not gonna be shooting a gun as a wolf. That'd be kind of funny though.
Yeah, maybe I can show it off real quick again.
Pistol build, even I can play melee.
Can we get an audio sound cue to the Sunder animation for most fire skills? It's not possible to see the orange glow. There is an audio cue. Unless you mean the one that's no, there's totally an audio cue.
I mean, there's
They're
one where
casting it, and there's audio cue when you get hit.
Is there one where they cast it? Like for Arcane, there is a very clear one. For Sunder too?
I thought there was. Is there not?
If there is one, it's very quiet. I'm pretty sure there's none actually. Like there's a sound when you get hit, definitely a very loud and clear one.
I'll take a look at
But
it.
when they charge up, there's Thunder attack. I think there is none. But there is for Arcane, so I think it works well. Like Arcane is very fair now. I mean, Thunder is too if you actually can read the animation, but it's sometimes very hard with visual clutter in RPGs.
Xanta, have I considered doing Twitch drops for cosmetic gear like pet? I would love to have Grimdawn drops on my stream. I think the problem with doing that is that we would need to have some sort of account to link to Twitch. Otherwise, there's no way to hand those things out. And since Grimdawn doesn't have any accounts, and Crate doesn't have any accounts that we could track, there's no way to really link that. And that's the main limitation.
Yeah, so one thing, for example, if you have a weapon, like a gun in this case, the base physical damage and the piercing damage will be applied to your werewolf's attacks, right? This one has 120% main hand damage on the Fairy Claws and 280% main hand damage on Rip and Tear. However, you will still be limited when it comes to some other abilities, like for example, Vanish from your medal still requires a melee weapon equipped. So you can be a werewolf and attack in melee with a gun, but you cannot, for example, use the Vanish ability. To use that as a werewolf, you still have to like go back to dual wielding or like to going melee weapon.
So you're saying that if any character is able to complete SR75, they're good enough to handle the new difficulty level. Yeah, I think you could even go into Ascension mode if you can't clear 75. That was kind of the whole point of the Ascension altar, as I mentioned earlier, is to create a more dynamic difficulty. So you're not just obligated, like, you can't even enter this mode until you can clear endgame. Like, you should be able to get there before you can clear endgame. Like, so I think the starting difficulty is somewhere around Shattered around like 60. And then you can scale it up to like 90, I think, in terms of like the numbers, just based on like the materials you put into the altar. How many employees at Crate besides Big Z? Was always curious. Currently, I think we're up to 26. I'd have to double check.
That's like
Who's
twice as. I think that's like almost twice as many as you had during Forgotten Gods, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we have been growing, and we are still looking to hire more talented people to join the team.
How many people are actually working on Grim Dawn now and like on Farthest Frontier or like on other projects?
So there's, like I mentioned, basically 4 different teams right now. So we are kind of all over the place. I mean, me personally, I'm literally all over the place as the production director. So I'm sometimes I'm on Frontier, sometimes I'm on Grim Dawn, sometimes I'm on RTS. But we have, let's see. Currently, there's 2 programmers working on Grim Dawn stuff. There are 1, 2, 4 artists, and 1 animator / rigger, and 1 animator that kind of hops around between our projects as needed. Although now we've actually hired another animator, a recent hire, who is currently exclusively on Grim Dawn. So yeah, so I guess let's say 2 animators.
Right.
So yeah, it's probably the largest team Grim Dawn's ever had. It's not like crazy larger, but you know. There's also I forgot even to mention designers. There's Madeira, who's working on the overworld whenever he can find the time between filling out government paperwork, and there is Hyboreal, who the author of the Trip South, who's working on a bunch of the undergrounds as we speak.
Very nice.
And we actually had a new designer hired just recently as well, who will spearhead some of the RTS stuff, but he is currently actually working on Grim Dawn. He's gonna be doing some of the side quest stuff and some like NPC, some lore, things like that. Maybe some mini boss battles and things like that. So yeah, pretty big team for what we've been used to.
How do new team members feel like working on the slightly antiquated tools?
It's definitely a learning experience for people because it's a very unusual engine, and it's also an older one. But you know, people jump at the opportunity to learn this challenge and make this game even better. So yeah, I wouldn't say that anyone that's jumped into Grim Dawn that hasn't had a chance to work on an engine like this before that like couldn't. Like, you know, everyone's assimilated themselves into the team pretty seamlessly.
Mm-hmm.
You'd like to inquire as to why I say that DE is my favorite skill. My favorite skill is Trojan's Sky Shard, thank you.
So your favorite class is gonna be the Evoker class?
I'm kind of split between Evoker and actually using the new sets themed specifically around, you know, Arcanist Nightblade.
Huh.
For the longest time, I've actually kind of in a funny way resisted making gear for that playstyle. Like, I think forever ago, people asked me like, "Oh, what's your favorite way to play?" And I'd always tell them like, "This is not supported really, so it's not optimal." But I really like doing like Shadow Strike, Ballistrozen, Sky Shard.
Have you
and then people want to like try to make it work, and there wasn't really gear for it, and that's like on some
Oh,
subconscious level, I was
super.
like, well, I can't make gear for this because that's favoritism. But now I'm like, okay, we're on our third expansion. I think it's okay if I make a set that supports this. So there will be a
Finally.
set that supports Shadow Strike plus Trojan Sky Shard specifically. It's the Zantai build, so you know it'll be super overpowered, right? Can we expect the Filer buffs? You're talking about the monsters, right? If there's a particular Defiler build that you feel is struggling, definitely post feedback on the forum and we'll take a look. We're looking for your Grim Tools like layout for your atomization and skill points, and of course want to see some recordings of like you running through the Shattered Realms, through the Crucible, and how you're doing. Because that kind of gives us an idea of like, is this person, like maybe their build could be, you know, better assembled, or is it actually an issue of itemization? Bigger challenge, name a Defiler build that isn't struggling. Well, if that's the case, then point us in that direction. Literally every public playtest we do, we are looking for where you guys think the game needs help. It's not that we don't have our own ideas of things where we could improve, and like obviously things happen that show up in the playtest and people are like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. But there are also plenty of things that are like, okay, this is what the community's kind of focused on right now. How can we make this better for them? And that's the kind of changes you end up seeing in the playtest at the end. So post your Defiler builds. We'll take a look. What's the progress on the new engine? Do you see the horizon? I think there's still a lot of work to do to make it a product you'll be playing. But it's come a long way, and it's still going. The team on that has grown too. One of the programmers that's currently on Grim Dawn is probably going to hop back in there pretty soon. Yeah, it's going to be exciting on the RTS front pretty soon internally.
We're gonna have.
All right.
Are we gonna have items that convert avalanche to physical, and then it's gonna be like boulders instead of ice cracks?
I don't remember what it looks like visually, but I think there is a physical avalanche, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably very like an obvious thing to do, I guess. Or like obvious thing to implement.
Oh man, it is 3:40.
Yeah, it's getting very late.
I should probably go do some other work today. So thank you guys so much for stopping by in the stream today. Rekt can definitely keep on trucking with the Berserker and show you more of it while I'm not here. I'm glad I could answer so many of your burning questions. I definitely stop by the forum if you have some other ones that maybe I didn't get a chance to get to. And yeah, maybe I think I should probably hop on a stream of my own sometime in the future and, you know, show some more stuff that's maybe even more unfinished.
Definitely. And
So,
yeah,
yeah,
feel free to become a Praetorian, right? There was. Do you still have the link ready? Otherwise, you can.
Yeah, I guess I do still have the link there.
Oh yeah, you can
pop
post it in the chat as well. Yeah, so people know how to
I'll
contact you or like how to apply. Sorry, I was interrupting you.
Thanks for running the stream today, Rekt. It seems like you're enjoying the Berserker, which is good, certainly.
Yeah, it's lots of fun. It's a very, very active and fast-paced gameplay. I like it.
Cool, and I hope you guys will too once you get to play it next year. So again, stop by the forum. There'll be a new dev update on next Monday, I believe. So there'll be something new to check out in terms of what's coming for the next expansion. So as always, thank you guys for supporting Grim Dawn. I hope you enjoy the rest of the stream and whatever streams come up next. See you guys next time. Take care.
Thank you so much for being here, Zentai. Take care.
No problem.
Yep.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
That's the end of my patience. Let's see who's asleep. Resources. Get rid of the Watchalong. Twitch. Drop category. Just chatting. Done. Sources. About to go away.
Oh.
Who's asleep?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
There's somebody in
Fucking-
the attic?
Fucking Faceless is like 10% volume and Sendler is like blowing my eardrums out.
I could yell louder.
Don't need to.
Where are you?
Oh shit, you're right. Moth is quiet.
Hello?
Thankfully, I enabled a event cord to go above 200.
Oh shit, you can do that in Ventcord.
Yeah, I forget what option it is. Fuck, let me look.
That's so good because Faceless was fucking unhearable at 200%.
Let's see. Show enabled. It is called.
A plugin,
Oh!
right? Volume Booster.
Yeah, it's Volume Booster. That's the one.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, I'm gonna disappear for like 10 seconds now. Should be back.
Yeah, you're back. The fuck happened? It doesn't like me going in multiple sources.
Well, yeah, Wayne Cord shit worked for me, if you couldn't hear that.
Yeah.
It's great. Fucking joked about that. I was like, why can't I put Faceless on 300%? Turns out Wayne Cord lets
Whoa!
exactly that.
It can go up to
Not gonna
1,000.
help out.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm not gonna pick a side here.
Or it's gonna sit in the cock sharp off.
Oh.
Well,
Battle was decided.
that's one ending to this, I guess. Not
What?
well. I mean, you can choose to help them or help him. I guess you were true neutral. That actually will change the story a bit, I think.
For what?
I think the ninth can have like a role in the story, but you know, who cares? I mean, honestly, like yeah, that just means the story changes. Doesn't mean it ruined everything. But
Що мені робити? Одягти нашу стару броню. Дари моноліту допоможуть пройти там, де ніхто більше не зможе. Вір мені. Я надішлю маршрут. Хай моноліт осяє твій шлях.
fucking dude is still floating in the bed.
That was ugly business, none of my problem. And I'm my concern. What?
Hmm?
Where is it? Oh. Fuck off, pig.
What did that cop ever do to you?
That's the stash should be right here, but where is it?
Probably like the roof beams.
Oh.
Yeah, there. You have to climb up on the. Yeah, I got this stash
Ah.
before. You have to climb up on the roof.
All hog. Start climbing. Can't climb that beam for some reason. Oh, I'm gonna need a Thailand. There is a way up. Orion, how did you get up? Beam doesn't let me climb it.
Yeah. I also tried. The wall on your right here. I jumped up across the. I started from the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah, and like jumped onto the like from each separate little like pillar to the next one. Wait till your stamina gets back, because I think that might be because I was stuck here a while too, but like when I jumped, when I had like over half stamina, I would make it, and when I like yeah, see, it's really weird. There's something with the stamina that like affects how you land when you jump and shit.
Go. More crap.
Hell yeah. Love getting 7 bullets and a sausage after having to do a fucking jump puzzle.
Turn to lens-ish. Got through. Dark.
OBS does not want to detect Discord. It's bugging the piss out of me.
Do window capture.
It is window capture. I'm clicking on the Discord thing, it's not showing up. It's fucking weird.
Okay, screen capture them.
I tried to display capture, and it captures every single window on that screen except for Discord. It's the funkiest thing ever.
Okay, that's great.
So
I recorded some shit yesterday and there was no problem.
Like I'm trying to look at it in fucking Brave, but I'm getting like every other window in Brave but the one I was using before.
Okay,
It does not want me to it does not want me to show mods the game.
That's so fucking weird, because I have I have OBS open right now. I have no problem. I can just capture the piece of shit. It even does the whole like, oh, streamer mode is activated.
I'm not even getting an error for streamer mode. Like I said, I have the streamer mode bar on the top of my Discord, but like that wouldn't stop it, would it?
That's weird.
Like it's not stopping you, and maybe OBS is just being OBS.
Fucking just reinstall the piece of shit. Because I installed yesterday, since I have like had to fucking reinstall Windows.
Like you do.
Yeah, so fucking funny. I love installing Windows.
I may be getting to that point. My fucking computer's crashed maybe like every other day. It had, I want to say it's the graphics thing because it just blanks out the screen and just freezes.
Dude, you might have the exact same problem I had because my PC would crash when I watched YouTube. That was the only thing that would crash it. YouTube would crash it if I didn't have like a game running in the background. So it was some kind of fucking like CPU underutilization bullshit, and I had to reinstall Windows to fix it.
I think you might be right. I think every time every time it crashed on me, it was I'm pretty sure I was watching a YouTube video every time that was happening.
Dude, I bet it's the same fucking issue, and it was because I had like reinstalled Windows, and I thought I did a clean installation, but apparently it like kept shit from my old PC. And it kept thinking like it had old PC parts and that kept fucking it up. So I just reinstalled everything.
I don't want to reinstall Windows because like my historically whenever I have like the screen just black out and it crashes, but it doesn't go to like blue screen crash, it just freezes. And historically for me when that happens it's like graphics card overheating. But I've been looking at like religiously at my like temperature trackers right now and it's like normal and stuff. So
it seems like you have the exact same issue I had because I thought the exact same thing. Like obviously the graphics card is the problem. If it crashes while you're watching a video, like obviously something is fucky wacky. And my graphics card is like, I had to remove the shroud and like put two fucking cable tie 2 fans to it because the fans broke on the fucking shroud and everything. So I was like, oh damn.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I bet something is fucked with it, which it shouldn't be since it's like 2 bigger fans than was previously. So it should work better. It actually does have way better temperatures. But like I was 100% sure it was my graphics card because like my graphics card is fucking, what is it, like 6 years old now? So it's like, oh, I can't be, probably the graphics card. It's like, oh, it's my CPU. I bought this fucking expensive motherfucking 7800 X3D. Is it the CPU fucking up? No, fucking Windows. Of course it was Windows the whole time.
I'm just thinking because I haven't had it happen like a day or two, and it's not like it happens every time I'm watching a YouTube video. Maybe because if I'm pushing the system a little too hard.
This is the exact same problem. Like for me, sometimes it would work perfectly for like 2 weeks, nothing would happen, and then all of a sudden, crash.
Mostly, I'm just trying to. I want to do everything other than reinstall Windows because that is a pain in the ass I do not want to do.
Dude, I had this problem for like 5 months and I didn't want to do anything. Like I waited 5 months to do a 50-minute reinstall. Should have just done the install from the beginning. There's like a great Windows 10 install. You can install the fucking enterprise that doesn't check like all the TPM security bullshit. It runs so fucking smooth. You get none of Microsoft's bloatware, and you do a really like scummy activation in the fucking command line, so you feel like a cool hacker. And it runs so fucking well. No account needed. You don't even have to bother with like of course you get a local account, but whatever. But like no bothering. Microsoft does not bother you about updating. Like nothing. It is so good.
I know, but maybe go more a few weeks, a couple months before I have to swallow both because again, the computer freeze thing doesn't happen all that often stuff. But if it's kind of like a known issue, but like what would be the underlying thing? Just like something in Windows?
Yeah, for me it was like it kept giving me like a kernel exception bullshit because my apparently it like thought it was in my old PC, and my old PC had a somewhat old Intel CPU, and I think it like did not match the whole like Windows 11 upgrade shit where it's like, oh, you need to have trusted installer blah blah blah. So it would make some kind of like weird exception where it thought like, because it was like something like as soon as the CPU got underutilized, it would be like, oh, I guess now's the time to try and run Windows updates and bug you about Windows 11, and then it would fuck up. Like I have no idea what the fuck was going on. So if you used like the same hard drive, I mean, okay, SSD. If you use the same SSD for another computer, then you might have the exact same problem as me.
No, I haven't done any hardware swaps or anything this year. This year problem really started only maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay, did you check Event Viewer? Because I saw some people. I had the problem because I changed hardware and stuff, but I saw some people had the hardware after the creators update for Windows 10. I think it was called.
Okay, so what am I looking for in Event Viewer?
Any errors? I don't have them saved now because I reinstalled, but I got like a specific event that was the crash cause all the time. It was like event 1796 or something.
I got a fuck ton of errors, but I think that's just regular shit.
If one of them says TPM, that's bad because that's like the Windows 11 bugging you for updates bullshit.
TPN. Okay, so would this be okay? Like talk to me like I'm 5, like administrative events.
Let me just open Event Viewer. Because one good thing, now my OS is in English, so I can actually give people advice because they don't say shit in Swedish that I can't translate properly.
Yeah.
It should be Windows logs.
Windows logs, okay. Which one? Application security?
And system. Yeah.
Okay, I have a warning.
Okay, here's the error that always fucked me up. I actually have it saved here. It is the secure boot update failed to update a secure boot variable with error. Secure boot is not enabled on this machine, and that's 1796. It's called event ID 1796.
17? 1796. I'm just scrolling. Actually, I could probably just sort the event ID.
Yeah, because I still get the same issue, but it doesn't crash my PC anymore. So that's fine.
No,
boy.
I'm not seeing that particular error, so that's a good sign, I guess.
Yeah, any error is interesting.
Okay, let's... I wish I could sort by level.
Yeah, this should be able to sort.
Actually, I think... Oh, it's currently trying to sort something else. Okay, there we go. Let's see.
Because the critical ones are like shutting down via pressing the on-off button and shit.
Game input service terminated following an error. Game service. Game service.
That's one thing I saw people talking about, that the Xbox game bar causes crashing problems.
I could have sworn I have that there turned off at startup. I do have that turned off at startup. I just want to open up my thingy, so let's see. Xbox PC. Xbox PC app is running. I told you not to run, you piece of shit.
You might be able to uninstall it.
I want to, because I do use an Xbox controller.
I mean, that doesn't do anything about that. Like, that's... your computer can still read X input.
Well, it's just something I'm going to keep in the back of my mind now to keep an eye on, because like I did specifically turn off at boot, like the Xbox anything. I specifically turned it off.
If you see any error related to Xbox or Game Bar, then you know that might be causing issues.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's a fucking
Yeah, like all these errors I'm looking at here is just like the game bar, game bar, game bar, and game. It's like, okay,
Yeah, I actually get a game bar error. I get the server windows dot gaming dot game bar dot presence server dot internal dot presence writer do not register because I don't have game bar. So Windows is really angry at me.
yeah, like I'm just scrolling through all these like red errors and like that 17 whatever one that you got. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it.
Okay,
So yeah,
that's a secure boot shit that does big problems. I mean, a lot of errors aren't real errors. Like they don't actually do anything. So.
well, no, like I've clicked through every permutation of like these ones here. It's all related to the fucking game services and game input and blah blah blah. So
Yeah, I have one that's like, oh, the Steam client service failed to start due to the following error. It's like, okay, thank you, Steam. But
yeah,
I would actually recommend reinstalling Windows, even though it sucks.
if it gets frequent enough and annoying enough, I might. But it has been a little bit, so see if it happens again, and see if maybe it's not something else. I really want to push that off.
Yeah, dude. For me, it was like it crashed. I think 3 times in a row in 3 hours, and I actually screamed out loud in my fucking apartment like a madman. I was so furious. But I was swearing at I was actually screaming at the computer, just swearing at it. So fucking angry.
I'm just thankful that there's a very good chance that, in my case, that's not my graphics card dying, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. It seems like a graphics card issue, but it's a Windows bullshit issue. Like, I'm almost certain, since it's basically exactly the same shit I had. I was so furious because it was like, I would run a game to make the PC not crash. So it was just like, start up fucking like Europa Universalis and just running it for like 5 hours in the background so the PC wouldn't crash.
Yeah. And I remember I remember people were having a conversation of like, keep running computer, turn off computer stuff. I remember a few days ago we were having a back and forth on there. My opinion's always been like, I just turn off my PC overnight.
Yeah, I don't, because like you might introduce issues. If it works, let it run.
I don't know. I've always been
also, yeah, for me it's also like private trackers for torrents and shit. So I want a good ratio.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I've always been kind of back and forth on the issue as far as like power consumption or like hardware thing. My thing, okay, the main selling point that I've always kind of fallen back onto for turning off my PC overnight is that on the long term, the power cycle of the current is not what kills your hardware. It's the temperature of the system running. It's what kills the long-term life of hardware.
Yeah, that's kind of it's kind of interesting because like the reasons for turning your PC off being good and the reasons for keeping your PC on have like both disappeared.
Fundamentally, yes.
It's funny you bring up temperature when my PC is running at probably 80. Who knows what? Fuck is running hot in this game.
That's a little high.
I can feel the heat coming off of it. Ooh, boy.
I have a notebook and I'm running the fans on like quiet mode just because, you know, to keep it quiet and stuff, and I barely ever reach above like 60.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not pushing it, it shouldn't reach. Like notebooks should be around like 55 idle and not make much noise. Then they're perfectly fine.
Yeah, like just running like OBS and, you know, watching Mott's stream right now I'm puttering between 50 and 60 right now, so that's fine. And if I were to if I were playing a game in the background, the most would be maybe like 60, 70.
Yeah. You know, the whole like power cycling thing, like that was something that was a legitimate concern back in I say as if it was a long time ago, but like hard drives.
Yeah.
Those can actually get fucked up. Those get fucked up if you run them all the time or if you power cycle them. Like, pick your poison.
Well, like
Oh, never mind. It's not as bad as I thought. It's only like 69 degrees.
well,
Yeah,
like
that's fine. That's nothing, dude. That's
like
perfect.
I have a bunch of like external hard drive, like USB external hard drives for my data backup and stuff because that still is the go-to for like long-term storage and shit. And I do like maybe like once or twice a month at best. I really should do it more.
I have so much fucking shit stored on my computer, but all my like external hard drives started failing basically at the same time. I am so over. I am so finished with fucking hard drives at this point. Like I want everything to be an SSD. Fuck it.
I can't justify the cost of transferring everything to SSDs at this point in time. But long term, if you know, maybe get a few like 2 terabyte like arrays of like SSDs. Like that's kind of like the dream at this point.
Yeah, I'm moving entirely to M.2 SSDs even because M.2 SSDs have gone cheaper than regular SSDs and they're much easier to install. I'm like, after Christmas, I'm like switching motherboard to one that has 5 M.2 SSD slots. So I already use 3 M.2s, so I'm gonna fucking shove 2 extra 4 terabytes in there. And then I'll be like satisfied for the future for a good while.
Well, if I someday whenever I build my actual computer and stuff, like I have my case ready to go. It's the giant fuck off like glass and aluminum Corsair one, and it has like a bunch of like solid state. I forget what the form factor is. It's like, you know, like the slabs for SSDs, not the M2s.
2.5 inch.
Yeah, those. It has a bunch of bays on the side of it for them, and that's kind of what I want to go to down the road.
Yeah, it can be nice to have a big chassis. I think I have room for 4 regular 2.5 SSDs, but I don't have any lying around. I gave one to a friend, and I only have like one shoved into an old shitty laptop right now. So.
Yeah, speaking of externals and stuff, I got reacquainted with my externals because when the computer freezes started up, like literally, I think it was yesterday, I did like a complete backup of everything.
Oh yeah.
Just I was just like, okay, it's been a while. I should probably just do a hard backup and everything.
Yeah, I got a internal 4 terabyte M.2, and that's kind of my I like internally back up to that one. But I need more space. It's actually the fucking dude, the space problem is actually like it's impeding my anime watching. That upsets me greatly.
Actually, I actually deleted a bunch of like stuff I know I was never going to get around to watching or never would rewatch. I actually nuked a bunch of stuff off my externals.
I can't do it. Every time I delete anything anime, I'm like, oh dude, all the downloads are gonna disappear. I'm never gonna be able to watch this specific fan sub again. I'm going to fucking die. Like I can't delete anything.
Nah, in my case, it was just a couple of cartoons. I was never, like, not even anime, it was just a couple of cartoons I knew I was never going to get around to. And the almighty Jim folder, when I realized, wait a minute, he's, like, mirrored, like, a dozen times over. Like, if I wanted to rewatch old Jim streams, I can find them.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's true.
Well, truth be told, like all the Jim streams of like his dedicated videos I've already watched. All his latest streams since he came back, I watched, and the only thing I don't want to watch is his IBS streams. So it's just like, okay, I'm not really missing anything. So there's no reason to have all this gear shit. So I was like, all right, go away.
Does he like back it up himself?
No, he has no backups of anything. It's like all fan archive channels.
He should get poor Yade to do that for him.
She's already doing ninja flips to install the Christmas lights.
Yeah, and tell him to turn on his fucking microphone. Fucking boomer, fucking Medicare can't put on his fucking microphone because mutes himself all the time.
I think it's cute at this point. It just never changes.
I don't know. I raged in chat at him like, fucking Medicare, turn on your microphone, Medicare.
Oh shit.
Like, thank God for Yade actually watching chat.
Yeah.
Speaking of women, M is here, silently.
Oh, hello, Emmethy.
I try to ignore the Turkish. Ignore the Turks.
No, I mean, try to ignore best I could.
I know her unibrow's pretty loud.
Loud.
How am I over encumbered? Fuck.
Because you have like. Do you probably have like 100 vodka bottles?
Oh, well.
4 kilos of vodka bottles. Oh, that's not that much.
Isn't that required
That's
in
what
Russia?
that's what I call a Saturday. 4 kilos of vodka. Oh.
To a Russian, that's
Those are
breakfast.
Those are small bottles. Those might be like 33 centiliter bottles. Moff, you have a bunch of shit. The water, get rid of the fucking water.
It's... Yeah.
You don't need a kilo of water. Just get rid of it. You also have 15 fucking sausages.
Yeah?
Been prepping
None
for
of
a
that.
year.
Fucking.
It's
Dude,
pound sausage.
That's 6 kilos of sausages.
Okay.
Dude, a stalker's inventory is fucking insane. Carrying around 6 kilos of sausages is fucking severely mentally ill, dude. Some fuckloads of sausage. You still have 6 bottles of vodka.
I'll keep 4.
Fuck's sake. You have 6 anti-red medications. You don't need a vodka.
Oh. I'll just keep 2.
Oh, for fuck's sake, get rid of the vodka. It's
No!
so heavy.
No!
Okay,
No.
dude, we have to fix your food situation. Get rid of the fucking Tushanka, the tourist cans. You have 7 fucking cat food cans, dude.
Really?
That's 3 kilos. Fuck's sake, carry on. Oh, Moff, just get rid of all of them. You don't need to eat like a variety. You don't need to eat healthy. Okay, get rid of the sausages. Just keep your fucking bread.
No, I'm keeping the sausages.
Okay, get rid of the bread then.
Fine.
Don't fucking carry around a whole supermarket of food. So unnecessary. Okay, now it's gonna be the ammo situation, Moff. Okay, what ammunition do you not use?
I use all of this. I
Mhm.
guess.
Do you really?
No. Okay, I don't need this because I have more of this anyway.
Yeah, and that's specifically silenced ones, I think. PST. Depst. Whispering to you. That's why it's silent.
This
And I think
got
that's
the robot.
armor piercing and regular, I think.
regular.
And armor piercing, yeah. They can be good if you meet someone tough, you know. Keep the armor piercing. And it's your standard assault rifle ammo, so that's good to keep around.
Yeah, and my
Yeah, shotgun
shotgun.
ammo, and then it's like the other ones are both for the PM, right? Get rid of the fucking vodka, please. You have the red meds. You don't need them. Okay, the red ammo. What's that?
That's for that's for a 9.
Oh, that's 9x9. You can't even use that. Dude, that fucking. This is like an intervention with a fucking hoarder.
Well,
have to
just be
fight
be thankful we're going through his food and ammo, not his porn.
Yeah, something. At least it's hoarding something useful. Okay, dude, get rid of like half the bandages. You don't need 37 bandages.
And
You could heal all of fucking Pripyat with those bandages, then. Okay, now we go on to the energy drinks. You don't need 9 energy drinks. Keep 3. Keep 3. 3, not 4.
fine. Fine.
Good. Okay. Okay, now we get rid of some of the med kits as well.
No.
Keep 15. Keep 15. It's a nice rounded number. Oh, now we slimmed you down. See?
Okay.
We saved like 20 kilos of weight.
That's true.
You were carrying so many fucking sausages, dude. Like 18 sausages is an insane amount of sausage to be carrying around.
Why, are you going to deny a man a sausage party?
You know, if he complains about the weight, then yes, I'm gonna deny him the sausage party. You know, to have a sausage party, you must be able to carry the sausage without complaining. You have to take it with a smile.
God, it sure loves to fucking storm in this place.
Yeah. Feels like great weather we're having.
Alright, fuck it. I'm going to end stream, but I'm going to reboot OBS just to see if it doesn't want to detect Discord afterwards. Because this is really fucking annoying.
Reinstall OBS, dude. Seriously.
I don't want to reinstall anything. Fuck this noise.
My solution for everything, just reinstall.
Yeah, I'm being stubborn about it. Alright.